Just go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Scotiabank Theatre here in Toronto, Ontario for the Collegiate Star League Canadian Invitational. And we're at the grand finals now. I'm Daniel Digon Gonzalez, and with me is Bill Jump Carter. We've been through two major sets, 2-0, 2-0, and dominant performances by those winning teams.
And now we get to see the rematch of what we saw in the LoL Campus Series round of 8. It's going to be University of British Columbia taking on Simon Fraser University. Now, both of these teams 2-0 their semifinal match in this Canadian Invitational earlier today. And now they're going to get an opportunity to face off each other in one final best of 3 to decide who is the best of Canada here tonight.
Yep, and the best of Canada is going to be going through the West itself. Both these teams had played previously in the ULOL Campus Series in the West bracket, with Simon Fraser coming out on top over UBC, knocking out the previous champion, the 2016?
Yeah,
2016 champion in UBC.
And so now you have to take stock of what happened in the first 2 series. Now, not only did both teams put on a dominating performance, but you have to think about, all right, what are these teams going to prioritize? How are they going to kind of change their mentality, change their approach to be able to push themselves forward? Because remember, even though UBC did lose to them into the round of 8, they are still going to be going to the ULOL Campus Series kind of finals, is what you might call it, in about a week and a half. And while they are on opposite sides of the bracket of SFU, that doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for them to really just come out guns a-blazing and really try to create just this tension coming into it.
One of the big things I want to look out for is that Cassidy pick in the mid lane. We saw it come up in 3 of the 4 games by not only Simon Fraser, but also out of UBC. As we do have a little bit of a lobby error, we're going to go ahead and get that taken care of here in a second. But the Cassidy pick coming up big for both mid laners.
They did indeed, and when you look at what they're prioritizing in their bans, both of these teams only had 1 target ban as far as specifically hammering out 1 pick from the enemy team. The other 2 were specifically revolving around the meta. And so now the question becomes, do they put their 1 target ban into that Cassidy, regardless of what side that they're on? Or do they decide to have 2 target bans towards somebody and eliminate one of those meta picks, which could potentially open the door for something extremely strong to come through the ban phase? And I think that decision-making and the way that this game 1 pick ban is going to kind of go through is really going to differentiate the play styles that both of these teams might have to pivot towards, considering the options that we see at hand.
The 3 champions that I see instantly banned all the time are the Ivern, the Lulu, and the Karma. So those are 3 of your bans. Where do you think the other 3 might go? Say Cassidy is one of them. Who are the last 2, and what sneaks open?
I think that you have to think about Syndra. KT Smurf on that Syndra is very strong. We haven't seen Dennis play it quite yet, but looking at his performance in the previous games, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a Syndra that can actually do something of a very relevant sake on that front. But then you also have to consider the Rek'Sai, because both games that UBC played against Ryerson, that Rek'Sai was banned away. And now, while that's not a front of the meta pick, that is definitely a comfort champion for Kazahana. And when you think about LAN experience, we were talking about comfort is one of the deciding factors of how good or bad the game is going to play out for you. And so that has to be something that to think about. And just like that, as we get into the champ select here, it is going to be the Rek'Sai banned away from Kazahana and the rest of UBC.
Like we said earlier, if you're here for the UBC matches, Kazahana is the substitute jungler who is now in. He's challenger. He's the highest rated player in this game. Known more for tanky type champions. Unfortunately, won't be playing the Rek'Sai that he had earlier. The ban's coming fast and few and far between. This has to be a Karma ban, right? Karma ban or Ivern ban?
I actually don't potentially see it being a Karma ban. I don't think that's something that UBC is worried about. I think they're willing to give up the Karma to be able to make sure that they can have something very powerful in the 1-2 pick. Because if they don't ban the Karma, that essentially forces Goldjet to first pick that off the mark. And if that's the case, then that allows them to kind of play into an alternate strategy, potentially do something like what we've seen with them pick up the Ashe or the Zyra or something of that effect. But if they don't pick that up, then that's something that they can go for. But it's a LeBlanc actually as a first pick here for the side of SFU, prioritizing that mid lane, showing their hand very early, and this could go very good, but it could also go very, very bad for SFU.
This is an interesting draft for both teams available. Karma will be taken. The Lulu already banned out, so that is the top tier, A tier, S tier support getting taken away. It also leaves up Ivern still in the jungle. Really surprised that didn't get taken. It was the Sejuani instead.
I'm actually not very surprised about this because of the strength that we've seen Sejuani be able to pull up. Kazahana likes playing those tank junglers. He likes playing those support junglers. But he also knows how to turn on the aggression when needed. And Sejuani's the type of champion that can actually make that happen.
Right.
And so when you think about, all right, do I go for the Ivern? Do I go for the Sejuani? Sejuani, in her current state, is a little bit more reliable in making sure that you get the chain lockup. You combo that with the Karma speed up, and it definitely creates for a positive situation. But now, on the flip side, very quick lock-ins for the side of SFU. It's going to be a Graves in the jungle, as well as that Nami. And so you've got 80 carries still not picked for either one of these teams. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the pickup here for UBC. They pick up their 80 carry, they pick up their top laner, and then they leave that Karma to potentially flex. But as I say that, it is going to be the Victor hover.
Just hovered. Hasn't been selected yet. I am interested to see if, because I guess it's because I main 80 carry, that we're not seeing an Orianna or something to go a double shield composition to keep the Caitlyn alive, but instead, Victor and Caitlyn are locked in. That is a lot of damage if we get late.
What did we talk about? Comfort for a lot of these teams. KT Smurf, in his top 3 champions, Victor is definitely one of them. Not only does he have the control mage aspect of zoning the team fight in his direction, but he also is able to have the opportunity to really pop off and create a lot of damage and power for his team. Because even though the Victor changes that have gone through that have kind of toned him down in a few instances, he's also been able to have a fantastic opportunity to be able to scale up even harder into the late game.
Scale harder indeed, and look at this. Talking about comfort, Varus going to be selected again for Pneumatic. Pneumatic, that's 3 games in a row for him. He's done a great job of deciding when the team is going in and when not, using the chains of corruption, his ultimate, to engage. Renekton going to be selected for Gold Jet as well. He did have a little bit of a struggle early on in the last game against University of Toronto, but was able to get himself back in there and become a massive menace at the end of the game.
So again, Simon Fraser University relying around their team fighting abilities, relying around their decision-making skills with the composition that they have. It's all on the bot lane. Nami and Varus are going to be the main forces of the engage there, so they're going to have to try to create something. As Fiora, a champion that fell through this big ban phase, that she was banned away both times when they played Ryerson in the first set.
Yep.
But now CJ has the opportunity to do that. We know he's the carry jungler, carry top laner. We know he's the one that wants to be able to really put the team on his back. And with the new changes to Death Dance, there's a huge opportunity for Fiora to really put that as her kind of staple point and be able to go up against the Renekton.
Yeah, Renekton and Fiora both want to get going early. Fiora with a little bit more outplay potential using parry and getting health back using the vital points, the vital strikes. On the opposite side, Renekton just wants to go in, stun you, Cole the Meek, slice and dice, get himself in, get himself out. And I think it'll be a very aggressive top lane, so I expect to see the junglers be up there very early and very often.
Not only are the junglers going to be coming onto the top side, but we're going to have to look to see for the teleport timings of both of these top laners, because they have had an insane amount of proactivity across the map in the early stages of the game. Gold Jet going 3 times before the 10-minute mark down to the mid lane to actually try to affect the University of Toronto members. And so now when he's going against somebody that's just as proactive in CJ, they're going to have to make sure that they are not only keeping track of each other's teleport timers, but making sure that when those windows are there, that they have that opportunity to kind of really push the mark.
So these team compositions here are basically standard team compositions coming up. No major cheese out of either team. How do you feel about the Victor LeBlanc matchup? LeBlanc getting reworked, obviously resurrected with the Hextech Gunblade in the mid lane for additional burst. How does that go back and forth?
I actually like the Victor into the LeBlanc matchup. Yes, you've got the potential for a lot of damage that LeBlanc just kind of really pulls off in and of herself, but something that Victor does very well is wave clear. And when you're going up against somebody that can roam as powerful as LeBlanc, especially when she has that teleport ability on her, you need to be able to show you can keep her attached to her tower and make sure that if she's going to roam, she's giving up CS. She's giving up that farm and those extra gold, which puts that much more pressure to ensure that when she does go to the other lanes, she's making something happen. Because if not, Victor and KT Smurf and then UBC as a result will definitely pull ahead.
And we've seen a lot out of both teams. We've seen snowballing in game 2.
Yes.
I think both teams had snowballing effects in game 2. So LeBlanc, one of those champions, once she gets rolling, very, very difficult to stop because of her ability to get to the back line, blow up the Caitlyn. Caitlyn there, Karma there to go ahead and try to get shields onto Caitlyn, and Caitlyn using her range to stay further back. But if you're further back, you're not dishing out damage. And there's only so long a Fiora is going to live.
It is. And you take a look at what else you have on SFU, and that's going to be the Graves. You haven't seen the Graves yet. We've had 4 matches today. Neither of those 4 have had that Graves pop up into the jungle. Frozen Knight, we've seen his aggressive ability. He played the Kha'Zix earlier. Definitely something he can shine on, but it's going to be very pivotal for him to get a lot of early pressure. Even though Sejuani has a point-and-click stun with the permafrost post-midseason patch rework, it doesn't mean that the Graves isn't still extremely powerful in dueling in the early game, and so it's going to be very reliant upon him to track exactly where Kazahana is going and exactly how he's going to be able to mitigate any of the pressure that Sejuani is going to be pushing across.
Well, that sounds all very vital to each team's success, and vital to our success here at the Collegiate Star League are our sponsors. So big shout outs to twitch.tv, Band Gaming, and Azus. Thank you so much for making this possible here at the Scotiabank Theatre in Toronto, Ontario. And of course, thank you to Cineplex for hosting the event as well. So with that, we're going to get into a short break, but when we come back, we're going to have game 1 of the finals of the Canadian Invitational between Simon Fraser University and the University of British Columbia. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 1 of the final set here at the Collegiate Star League Canadian Invitational in Toronto, Ontario, the beautiful venue of the Scotiabank Theatre, hosted by Cineplex. Thank you so much to Cineplex. And we're in. We're finally here. We did it. It's been quite a journey of casting so far.
It's been a long day.
you know, things happen, and we're able to go ahead and shot call our way into alternatives, and things are working out well, just as they are right now for Jajel. Jajel, taking a little bit of damage there, but was able to go ahead and work himself out of trouble. Early on, just both teams feeling each other out, but I'm really excited to watch this top lane. It's going to be very aggressive.
I think the top lane is going to be the X factor for both of these teams. Ooh. Very, very close. Peacemaker almost hitting off the mark there. But this top lane is what's going to decide the direction of this game. Now, when you have Fiora, and Fiora has kind of popped up in the meta, Renekton has kind of followed suit as a result, just because he can handle her a lot in the early game. It's very hard to predict that stun coming out from the Renekton. So a very good opportunity for, Simon Fraser University to be able to kind of come out ahead onto this, but it's also going to be extremely reliant on what Frozen Knight and Kazahana are going to do. We've both seen that they are willing to go to the top lane and not force the island kind of style top lane that we've used to seeing in the pro play, and so it's going to be which one's going to come up there first and which one's really going to be able to push off the mark.
A lot of trading by both the mid lane and the bot lane of both teams, but it does look like UBC is getting the best of that. I do want to, hopefully if we have a little bit of time, run down these rosters like we normally do. It took us a little bit longer to get there, but on the blue side, it is University of Sorry, on the blue side, it's Simon Fraser University. I was going to say University of Simon Fraser University. In the top lane, it's Goldjet. At the jungle, it's Frozen Knight. In the mid lane, Demnis. At AD, carry and support, Pneumatic and Jjo, respectively.
And looking for the revenge, it's going to be University of British Columbia taking up the red. You've got CJ, 22 years, you see on your screen, in the top lane. Kazahana in the jungle. KT Smurf in the mid lane. Ozma at AD carry with 7-3-4 taking up that support.
And one of the big themes that we have to talk about here is old guard against new guard of the West. UBC, we touched on it earlier, last year's North American U-Ball champions, getting knocked out here by the young bloods of Simon Fraser University.
But you don't want to discount Simon Fraser. Simon Fraser has always been one of the powerhouses. They've made it to round of 8 in the last 2 years of the ULaw of anything that comes to relating to ULaw rather. So they have been up there, but they've been essentially kind of one tier below the UBCs, the RMUs, now the Maryvilles if you want to take a look at it. And it's now their time to shine, like what you said. And so their time to shine is really going to come down to, are they going to be able to pull up this repeat performance? It's not a best of 5 anymore. It's now a best of 3, so they're going to have to be aggressive. And that's exactly what we're seeing already, as Goldjet is doing everything he can to push CJ into his tower and really abuse that Renekton Fiora matchup in these early levels.
Renekton kind of hanging tight there. Looking at the consumables, almost all the consumables have been eaten by all the lanes. Varus is the only one that hasn't, but there's just been a lot of damage going back and forth down on the bottom side of the map. 7-3-4, we got to see his prowess on Zyra 2 times in a row with a ton of poke and a ton of damage. Now on the Karma has done a great job of landing these inner flames so far. No soul flares, a couple of soul flares, but doing a solid job of continually whittling down Jjo and Pneumatic. There's a lot of healing coming down by the bot lane, but we're going to have to keep an eye on Nami's mana, right? Nami's able to continually heal while she has mana, but the more you poke her down, the more she uses a skill, the less mana you have, and it makes it hard to stay in the lane, and that's where you find the advantage for Ozma and 7-3-4.
And the advantage in the mid lane as well is something that we have to consider about. Demnis blew a very early teleport. Not that it's relevant this early in the game, but blew a very early teleport to be able to go back and buy that corrupting potion because he knows just how strong that Victor LeBlanc matchup is and how powerful it can really create these opportunities for KT Smurf and his jungler to help out. As we say, speaking of the junglers, it is going to be Frozen Knight and Kazahana kind of seeing themselves in that jungle as Demnis and KT Smurf are going to trade themselves back and forth as well. But no blood being shed, no death being had. Both of them are just going to back off.
Oh, a little bit of trading there. What I like about that is the junglers are like, hey, I'm bored, I'm going to invade the other person's jungle. And both mid laners now are forced to, after having a kind of a cordial farming phase, are forced to attack each other, and both of them chunk each other down pretty well. Demnis going to get the better end of that, still has the corrupting potion, so able to heal all the way up. KT Smurf, no more consumables, so not going to be any more healing coming out of him.
No. Now, looking at the jungle matchup, something that we talked a lot about in the pick ban phase, Kazahana has been able to go back and get that early Tracker's Knife. You had some damage prioritization coming out of Frozen Knight, so he wasn't really sitting himself in a spot to collect that vision. He wanted a little bit more dueling potential, but it's Kazahana sticking to that utility jungle pressure style that we're used to seeing, is helping KT Smurf mush up the mid lane so that way he can go back and try to secure himself another item, but all the while acquiring vision.
Oh,
the double bubble.
The double bubble comes out of Jjo. That's going to force the flash, heal, and exhaust. Big play coming out of the support Nami as we do see the ultimate coming out of Fiora, but now it's going to be too much. Oh, JJ is able to strut her way out of trouble. Or CJ was able to strut her way out of trouble. That was almost a misplay. That was almost catastrophic, but almost only counts in hand grenades and horseshoes.
Oh, that was a very solid. So that smoke actually ended up taking the big wolf away from Kazahana, so that's going to be a lot of resources kind of taken away from that, as he is already extremely behind. But now with the lack of mana,
oh no, Frozen Knight in a little bit of trouble. The early rotation comes out of Jjo first. It does look like they're going to turn around and deal the damage out. Kazahana very low. The shield comes out. It's not enough. 7-3-4 now in a little bit of trouble, but is here who has who? At first it looked like SFU had UBC, but now UBC turning that one around. Frozen Knight goes down. His hand gets caught in the cookie jar too long. Nice bubble going to land onto KT Smurf, and Jjo able to get himself out of trouble. A 1-for-1.
Rotations is on the mind of UBC. When anything happens, you have to react, you have to support your team. That's exactly what KT Smurf was thinking, was able to follow himself up, wasn't able to pick up that kill, but it did go into the hands of Ozma, which on that Caitlyn we have seen, if you're able to prioritize it, if you're able to actually secure that and get those kills off early, you're going to have the damage to be able to push down those objectives.
So 1-1 here at 7:30, a slight gold lead. Frozen Knight, I think, bit off a little bit more than he could chew, but they made the best out of that. If they would have continued to run, I do believe that the bot lane of UBC would have gotten there first, but now we have a little bit of a Gankarino in the top side of the map. Goldjet is proxying the farm. Now KT Smurf might be able to turn this damage around, and again, it's another case of who has who, and Goldjet going to get burned down here in a second. Will he or won't we? Ooh, slice and dice not going to be enough. It's a kill onto the top laner of Simon Fraser.
2 for 2 on the rotations for KT Smurf. His team needs help, so he's going to go, but now Demnis and him are rocking back and forth.
Yeah, Demnis putting down damage, double root. There's the cleanse, flash away, might be enough. Demnis flashes in, and that's going to be it. The Sigil picking up the kill.
KT Smurf waited way too long to actually pop that cleanse through. I'm not too sure what the thought process on that was, is maybe underestimating the damage of Demnis, but still ends up going down. Wasn't too much he could really do off of that. Now he did blow the flash, so that's a good effort, is he did end up blowing the flash of Demnis, so off the croc, but still a kill picked up there onto the LeBlanc, and the LeBlanc pick has to work out.
The LeBlanc,
it has to work out for SFU. Why? Because they first picked it. When you put yourself in a situation where you're gonna first pick somebody like a mid laner, you have to make sure that you can get fed. You have to make sure that your strategy can fall through, or else that's gonna be a very difficult situation that you put yourself in just with the pick ban.
So early on, a lot of aggression coming out of both of these teams. Hasn't turned into kills yet, but both of them aggressively taking vision and going to the other team's side of the map and coordinating their waves accordingly. So mid lane is being pushed up by Demnis, and although you don't know where Demnis is, he could possibly be there on the bottom side of the map as the Grand Challenge has been thrown down by 22-year CJ. Not going to find anything, so Goldjet able to walk himself out of that one and heal up. He does have Dominus, so this is something we need to look out for very soon in the top lane. Will Goldjet engage onto 22-year?
And this is what we were talking about. It's that Renekton versus Fiora matchup early. Renekton absolutely dominates, and you can see that as a result of the 23 CS advantage that he has currently. The Tiamat double Doran's Blade is allowing for him to easily clear these waves and then proxy through to make sure that 22-year can't really do too much. And so that advantage definitely working out in the favor of SFU, but they're going to have to keep up the pressure. They're going to have to find a way to turn this advantage into something more, because there is going to be an opportunity and a time frame when you do see Fiora actually doing really great things once she scales up and gets items of her own.
Well, here's a good way to turn it into something more. Get yourself the dragon, and it's going to be the big one. Damage heading on over to the side of University of, gosh, I keep doing it, Simon Fraser University. The Infernal Drake heading on over, and that's going to scale well with their team composition.
It is indeed, and the best part about that is they're getting that extra damage into individuals that can use it. Infernal Drake works best on hardcore carry compositions, and that's where all five members of SFU have that as an advantage. You've got to kill already onto Demnis, you've got to kill already onto Frozen Knight, and these are opportunities where you can use that early Infernal Drake to really help you do something better when it comes to the team fights. But what is UBC doing to reverse on that? They're getting vision denial, and they're making sure to know exactly where SFU is at all times.
Solid stuff here. And again, what I really like about these teams are the fighting over the vision. You see how far in right now is UBC, and now it looks like they might be in a little bit of trouble. Kazahana thinking about going over into the Dragon Pit, decides against it. You also see a teleport being completed by Demnis. He's on the bottom side of the map as well, and right now the camera's focusing on the top side of the map, and it does look like a nice nifty little play there by UBC, not getting punished by Simon Fraser. And now 22-year and Frozen Knight going back and forth. This time it's not the top laner, it's the jungler getting into the action.
And blowing that teleport onto Demnis was actually a very difficult situation. But as I say that, Frozen Knight.
Oh, Frozen Knight doesn't land. A lot of the skills forced to flash away. The repel still missed. But 22-year CJ was still able to put out the damage.
He wasn't. This is just That right there is just a pure encompassing of neither one of these teams are willing to back down. Neither one of them are willing to kind of just lay down and take the difficult situations that are placed upon them. They're willing to fight. They're willing to battle it out. And when we talked to UBC before, it was kind of, all right, you know, are you guys upset? Are you salty? Are you wanting to really kind of just like throw SFU to the ground? And CJ, their top laner, responds with, no, you know what? This is a friendly rivalry. We're all friends. We all kind of hang out. Some of us even grew up together. So it's something that's kind of cool that we get to do this. But you know, once their hands are on the keyboard and they're loaded up on the Rift, it's definitely a piece of, all right, you got us in the round of 8. It's time for us to kind of show back and say, hey, this is why we're known as the powerhouse in Canada.
Yeah, when the other team blind picks the LeBlanc, you kind of want to go ahead and make him pay for it. And right now, that hasn't been the case. Demnis hasn't been punished for a bad teleport, but is doing well for himself and will continue to scale. Kazahama getting forced off of the red buff, but look at this. Here comes KT Smurf. Frozen Knight will end up winning the smite battle. Over the wall goes Demnis. Demnis using the blast cone, and it does look like we're going to have to take a long trip around the map to see if everyone will be able to get out Frozen Knight on the bottom side. There's 734. He was waiting for it. Ace in the hole, right in the booty. Down he goes. And Demnis able to flash away from the ultimate coming out of Kazahama. Glacial Prison not containing anyone in there. It's one kill.
Perfect prediction there by 734. He had the ward placed over the wall and says the second that you quick draw, you're mine. And they were able to pick up that kill as well onto Ozma. And I love these decisions in all of UBC's games. As we have to take a pause here, is now Demnis.
Oh, Demnis trying to get into this 1v1 top lane duel. 22-year knows he's in trouble. Did he stall enough for KT Smurf to join? Yes, he did. Demnis forced to back up. Flash forward, auto attack. Might not be enough. Another stun, and it's going to be, oh! KT Smurf almost had a big play. He ends up going down as well. It's a double kill. Now on the bottom side of the map, Osner trying to stay alive. Gets an auto attack up. Pneumatic able still to stay alive, and it's going to be another kill heading on over to the bot lane. A Simon Fraser. Big play here.
When it rains, it pours, and everybody on the map fights, but it was SFU that comes out on top. It was a double kill for Goldjet. Demnis getting as much extra damage on KT Smurf as he could before he decided to fall off. And then JJL with the clutch bubble to ensure that 734 couldn't pick up that kill on Pneumatic. And just like that, SFU's able to get the kills. Again, they're able to pick up an objective as well. And they're starting to roll. They're starting to get into their mark. SFU in comfortable shoes.
Yeah, UBC falling behind. And again, you do have a tank, but how great is the Sejuani actually going to be? He's going to be shredded through if you have Goldjet there, if you have Frozen Knight there, and you have now 2 AD carries to really push down these towers, Frozen Knight and Pneumatic. Those auto attacks that those champions are reliant upon help burn towers, and if you accelerate the game through tower gold, through map pressure, it makes it very tough for any team to come back.
And that pressure is what has defined SFU this season in the esports. Their pressure as a unit is just absolutely astounding. And not only has their pressure been just unrelenting across the board, but it's their understanding of when to take their foot off the gas pedal. That's something that a lot of teams fall prey to, is we're ahead, let's stay aggressive, let's go, go, go. But SFU says, why? We have an advantage. Why would we put all of our eggs in one basket with that aggressive behavior?
Why though?
It's all because if they know that teams are able to take advantage of that. When you're able to overcalculate the aggression and just go in because you would have an advantage, you're gonna falter, you're gonna find yourself behind. But now,
oh, Glacial Prison going to land, and it does look like the incarceration rates in Canada is going to go up by 2. JJL left all alone, forced to flash away. The first kill already went in, Pneumatic went down, and it's going to be 2 heading on over. Kazahana making a play for his team.
you do your efforts in one side, we're gonna throw it off with another.
Oh, KT Smurf auto-attacked a different minion. Demnis very low. Doesn't look like Chaos Storm is going to end up picking up a kill here, but the first tower, the first tower for UBC will be taken in the bottom lane.
Like we said earlier, League of Legends is such an elevated level of chess. If you make plays, your enemy makes counter plays, and it's how you react that really pushes things off the mark. And so you're seeing UBC now pushing into the bot side of the map. Goldjet, meanwhile, has activated the Rift Herald and is using that to take down the Tier 2 in the top side. And so it's going to be tower trades for tower trades. Tier 2 going down in the top side for SFU and then the bot side for UBC. So just like that, it's going to be the moves and the counter moves by both of these teams.
Goldjet looking at a possible gank here in the mid lane. Frozen Knight able to take priority here for Simon Fraser, and the continued pressure is unrelenting. And Simon Fraser able to find not only the mid lane tower, but now the whole bottom side of the map as wards go down, wolves are stolen away. And there's really not much UBC can be doing right now other than letting Fiora split push on the top lane and hope at some point she will be able to handle the Renekton.
The Dragon is up and Fiora has no teleport. Renekton has come to the bot side of the map. It's a fantastic effort by UBC to put some pressure in the mid lane to kind of try to counteract some setups, but that's still going to leave the Dragon up there. It's going to be Nami saying, hey guys, don't worry about it. I'll finish it. And then here comes the rotation now. The speed up is happening. Chain of Corruption is the only engage tool, like what we mentioned, from the side of SFU. If Jajel doesn't use that tidal wave to start it off the mark, and here we go, here's the fight.
Glacial Prison being thrown down, not finding anything. Tidal wave, mostly a zoning tidal wave, definitely on purpose there by Jajel, not able to find anything, but it does give them priority into the mid lane, and Simon Fraser, yet again, with their positioning, with their rotations, able to get in there. Now Frozen Knight flashes forward, doesn't find anything. KT Smurf thinking about going back in, uses the cleanse, but it's not enough. And now in the back line, Goldjet going 1v3. He's all right, he's all right, he's all right. Is he all right? Yes, he's all right. He's able to get himself out. The bubble able to land. Aqua Prison is the only prison found. Who is it? The Caitlyn able to pick up that kill as well, but the onslaught continues. There is no teleport from 22 here, so mid lane is wide open.
Another calculated decision.
Oh, Demnus going back in, finds the kill from long range.
Absolutely,
that was amazing.
Absolutely unbelievable when you can make those conscious decisions collectively as a team and then execute it to perfection. A difficulty that UBC is facing that they're not recognizing is there are double AD carry on the side of SFU, so they take towers very, very quickly. You multiply that with the Goldjet Renekton power in the sense that he is essentially full AD right now, just built the Warden's Mail, so he's not, so all of his damage was on that Tiamat as well as the pieces of that Brutalizer, so he's doing damage off the mark. So towers are going down, and now not only were they able to take the towers, but they were able to pick up the kills, and this just collective effort by SFU is absolutely fantastic. 9-8 is the scoreline, but it doesn't matter because it's that 4-2 tower and just that overwhelming presence that SFU is showing on the map that has them in the lead right now.
The one thing that is a saving grace, though, is KT Smurf is farming well in the mid lane, although he only has 3 kills compared to the 4 of Demnus. He does have items to keep himself relevant. He is doing damage. That was one of the big things that we did not see out of the mid laner for University of Toronto, Jish. He didn't have items to really help out in team fights. He was just kind of poking, but no kind of burst. There is definitely burst coming out of KT Smurf with the Death Ray and the Chaos Storm.
And so here's where things start to get difficult for University of British Columbia, because they're sitting on an item and a half on most of their members, but they haven't got that conviction. Now, when we had the conversation with them, they ranked their mid game actually as the strongest, uncharacteristic of what we've seen from UBCs in times past. However, if they're able to stall themselves out enough and get that second item, things could potentially be fantastic. However, SFU is recognizing this, and look at what the prioritization that they're having in making sure that they're putting as much tower and objective pressure as they can early.
I just realized this is Pneumatic's first death. He's gone the whole tournament without dying on the same Varus, the 3rd game on Varus, and it's only his first death. Very impressive stuff out of him as, the Blast Cone splits up the team. CJ getting a little bit too far in front of himself, tries to counter anything, but he parries nothing and he gets blasted away. It's another kill heading on over to SFU. This one picked up by Frozen Knight.
And in the process, Goldjet's on the opposite side of the map pushing through. He gets tier 1 in the bot lane. The top laner is down, so you don't have your ability to stop the split push, so they're gonna have to send multiple members, but instead they're choosing not to do so. Beautiful roam by Pneumatic to go down. Tier 2 turret could go down here for the side of SFU.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and pan on over. There it is, Pneumatic and Goldjet going to burn through this tower. Pneumatic just with lots of attack speed here with the Blade of the Rune King build, and he's able to tear through it, but Smurf goes down to the bot lane to help clear the minion waves, but that leaves all alone in the top side of the map. It's Osna going down. Nice play out of Demnus. Demnus able to get himself out of trouble. and not forced to pay. Kazahana does not have Glacial Prison, and Demnis is just running wild.
And another beautiful bubble by JJL to ensure that there wasn't any opportunity for Kazahana to actually go in and try to get a stun up for his team to follow up. SFU is rotating on all cylinders. Their machine is well greased, it's well polished, and it's running like a beauty, as they'd love to say, because every decision that they're making, not only are they finding success with those decisions, but they're doing it as a team, and that's something that you cannot overvalue, and that's something that you cannot just, unbelievable.
Rotations, 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 as the school of Monte Cristo would call. Rip, hope Overwatch is great. Either way, big stuff coming out of SFU. Big stuff coming out of Simon Fraser University. Hopefully they'll be able to keep it up right now, as they do have a 6,000 gold lead. 11-8 is the score here at 22 minutes. And it was not this big only 5 minutes ago. It was only about a 3,000 gold lead. It's starting to pop wide open with the top turret very, very low. The base on not quite its last leg, but maybe the first leg is on its last leg.
But things are definitely looking very scary for the side of SF, or for the side of UBC. They haven't fallen off of the cliff yet. They're not falling down into disaster, but they definitely have the edge of the edge of their feet sitting at the edge, and SFU is just slowly pushing closer, waiting to Spartan kick them in the face. And they're doing it through this just absolutely fantastic effort in making sure that they prioritize everything and make sure that while they're making these decisions, that's not an opportunity for UBC to farm up. That's not an opportunity for UBC to catch up in any form or fashion of the word.
Yeah, edge of your feet on the edge of the edge is very close to the edge for all of you that needed the clarification. I don't want to get Spartan kicked in any sort of pit, but right now, that is what UBC is lined up to receive from SFU as they continue to rotate across the map, pick up yet another Drake, and it's going to be their third Drake. Not really too much for UBC to do. They're starting to lose control of their own side of the jungle. LeBlanc is starting to become a huge menace, has completed Banshee's Veil, so there isn't an opportunity to immediately stun her if she goes in, and that's one of the weaknesses of LeBlanc.
It is, but LeBlanc does have that extra stickiness with the Hextech Revolver to kind of help the team catch up and get all of the burst damage that they have. It's a very smart decision to run with the composition that they have, and now you've got all 5 members of SFU actually cracking down. They want that tier 2. They want to be able to push up the minions in the bot wave just enough so they can potentially attack that top side of the turret again. Now, something else to consider that we haven't really talked about with these dragons is that RNG has actually worked out into the favor. Oh no.
Oh, Asna forced to flash away. But yes, back to RNG with the flash down.
It's worked in their favor because that Cloud Drake is allowing them to have that extra movement speed to do these crisp, clever rotations that they've been able to have time and time again. And as a result, it's really putting UBC in a difficult position because they're not able to execute any sort of strategy. They're forced to do nothing but react.
Yeah.
And if you're doing nothing but reacting to your team or to the enemy team at all times, then what are you actually getting done?
I feel like they have to be able to engage after one of the reactions. So if there's a huge rotation to the top side of the map, there's a huge rotation to Baron or something of that nature, UBC needs to be able to pull the trigger, land their skills, because Kazahana, when he has landed Glacial Prison, it has led to great things, but he hasn't landed very many.
But if you take a look at how many Glacial Prisons he's actually thrown out, I would say, I think he's thrown out 3 or 4, or so I would say 4 or 5. I would say at least 3 of those were reactive ultimates. As a Sejuani, with the composition that they have, you want to be going into the fights. You want to be engaging with your team and not using that as a defensive, because you want to be able to take advantage of that empowered bola with the extra distance that it travels. And so as a result, they're not really able to do anything too crazy, and SFU is definitely being able to capitalize on that.
One thing that is being fought over, as it has continually been fought over all game, as we do have a bubble pop, was the vision game. There's the Glacial Prison. It is Quicksilver sashed out of, so Pneumatic still alive. Here comes Demnis over the wall, it goes back out. Teleport baited out of the Renekton, not out of 22 years, so CJ gonna hold on to that one, and I would say slight win for UBC.
Definitely. You had the trap placements from the Caitlyn to be able to help out, but it doesn't mean that there's not gonna be another one. Here comes Demnis coming over the wall.
Demnis looking for something. Oh no, on the front line is Caitlyn. Osna gets caught out, does not have flash, and down he goes. I'm not exactly sure what your AD carry is doing on the front line.
Trying to clear the waves and trying to stop the push that was inevitably going to happen, but you have to know that Demnis is going to be over the wall. You have to know that there's a very scary LeBlanc just sitting in the wayside, hoping, waiting for you to be able to make a mistake for her to capitalize upon that. And so now, with a piece of their wave clear as well as their backline damage down, that's going to be SFU pushing onto the top side. You're going to have to see.
Oh, you're going to have to wait and see because Demnis went over the wall and allowed the rest of his team to get in there. 22 here thinking about coming in on the flank, but there just isn't an opening. And look at all those minions helping out, take out the inhibitor, and now the empowered minions will be spawning. And there really isn't an answer for UBC. That's been the theme of the story, the theme of the game. UBC losing something, looking for something to get, and there's nothing there.
You take a look at, okay, what does UBC have to do to be able to get back in this game? 8,000 gold is a big difference. Let's not gloss over that by any means.
8,000 anything is a big thing.
Exactly, but
8,000 calories, $8,000.
Don't remind me how hungry I am.
8,000 gold.
Okay, yes, 8,000 gold. But with that 8,000 gold, that's deficit. Oh, wait, we might have to pause here. It looks like Demnis. Oh, the fadeaway.
Yeah, he tried to flash in there, and now Demnis able to get away. Oh, nice fancy move there. That allows a possibility for the rush here. Are they going to just rush it down?
I think they do. They have the teleport on Demnis, but he's not going to be able to help out on anything. They spotted Frozen Knight with the minions onto something, and here comes Kazahana. He misses the ultimate.
He does miss the ultimate. Glacial Prison not going to land. Pneumatic again, able to get himself out. Did use the Quicksilver Sash yet again. Here comes another teleport. This one coming out of Demnis. Teleport being matched by 22 here, but it's a little bit too late. Down goes the support, 734, already taken out. The teleport had to be canceled because it was in the middle of the rest of SFU, and one kill means the Baron is now on the plate.
Baron is definitely on the menu, and it's going to be the choice of everything for SFU right now. They're coming in. They don't have ultimates. Let's remind you, they don't have any ultimates available at all. You're going to have the ultimate from Frozen Knight up if you need be, but that is it. And so it's going to have to be a brawl. They're going to have to fight for it. You can see them wanting to disengage. Here they go.
Comes the Baron party. Keep your eye on Demnis in the front line, though. 22, you're able to take down Goldjet. It's nice two-man bubble, but Demnis goes down. KT Smurf able to pick that one up. Ace in the hole. Not going to land in the hole. It's going to land on the fish. J-Jail able to walk himself out of there. And so I really thought the fight was going to be won there by the team with 5 members, but it's not.
Oh, no.
And look at this, lazy recalls lose games, and it proves true yet again. Now Frozen Knight able to flash away from the damage, but will they dive past the tower? No, they won't, or maybe they will. KT Smurf flashes over, picks up the kill, and so now it looks like UBC able to get himself back in there. Also not able to get the 90 caliber net and live. It's a triple kill, heading on over to KT Smurf.
And just like that, UBC puts themselves right back in the game. Sloppiness does not reward you in this current situation. SFU felt they were confident. They picked terrible back spots. UBC took advantage of it. That's going to be a Baron for them. 30 minutes into the game, we knew it was going to be a bar burner coming into it, but definitely the roof is burning right now.
The big question is, where did that 8,000 gold, where did the 8,000 calories go, Bill? It's all gone because right now it's only about a 3,000 gold lead, and UBC has new life.
Overconsumption turns you lazy, and that's exactly what happened with SFU.
But look at the base is in tatters, the tower still alive, but the Baron empowered minions will help against the empowered minions. What are the inhibitor? Super minions. The super minions end up going down as well, and this might lead into some sort of like tower dive situation, something where SFU just dives into the base and tries to take everything.
And we can't really get ahead of ourselves too much because, yeah, all right, KT Smurf pops off. That was a beautiful effort by him. Pick up that triple kill. They get themselves the Baron, but they lose a Nexus turret, and they also lose another Dragon. So, yeah, you got some extra gold. You turned that 8,000 gold deficit into now only a 3,000 gold deficit, but there were still much more late game opportunities that SFU was able to come out on top because of that. And so it's going to be up to UBC to make sure that they take advantage of this Baron push, because if they're not able to get any objectives off of this very powerful Baron minions that they have, then it's really going to be for naught, and SFU will still come out ahead.
It depends on how long this game goes as well. With the next dragon on the map being the Elder Drake, all 4 baby drakes heading on over to the side of SFU, that's going to be a priority target here that's going to lead to a fight, as we do have the teams flipping sides. This is going to be a little crazy. UBC looking at SFU here. Ace in the hole, going to land on the Frozen Knight.
Demnis doesn't have teleport, so he's having to haul tail over to help support his team. 22 year as well is coming around onto the flank onto this, but this could be a very scary pincer movement. SFU is going to have to be careful.
Oh, yes, they are, but here comes Demnis.
Oh,
I think
no!
he knows Osna on the back line by himself, able to take out the Mimic, but here comes the tidal wave. 1, 2, 3 members get knocked up, and where's 22 years? 22 years on the back line. Demnis untouched, but Demnis goes down. Osna's able to pick up the kill. Goldjet trying to find something very low. Cool the Meek, he's the Meek one. It's 2 kills heading on over to the AD carry of UBC, and the pincer move proves true.
It was the battle of the flanks. Was it going to be 22 year coming in from the backside to help out, or was it going to be Demnis coming through? But at the end of the day, it was Ozma and the recognition that there was a LeBlanc waiting in the wayside. So he waited, he prepped 7-3-4, understood it as well. They coordinated appropriately, they picked up the kill, and that's a very valiant effort there by UBC to stop SFU in their tracks.
And Osna didn't even use flash that fight. Look at it, it's
No.
still up. Osna with some great AD carry play. We thought he was caught out, he was on the backside, but instead, who has who? He has you. SFU losing their mid laner. And Demnis and Goldjet have to wonder what could have been if they could have timed up that gank a little bit better. Jajal had a beautiful tidal wave. It hit 4 members of UBC, but British Columbia able to come out on top on that, and the gold lead, which was 8,000, now all the way down to 1.5.
They've been able to claw themselves back and forth, and this is very characteristic of what we're used to seeing from UBC, but as we say
Here comes
it,
another engage. What a great cleanse coming out of Pneumatic. The Glacial Prison almost working out. I guess it did land, but
they're not done yet.
They weren't done. Kazahana now still in the front line. There really isn't anything for Osna to hit, so great play there by Pneumatic to get himself out of trouble. Immediate cleanse, Captain Jacklight from Jin Air.
so now the disengage is coming out of UBC. They don't want to fight this. They've already got their ultimates down. Their entire existence revolves around that Glacial Prison up from Kazahana, because that's essentially turning the tides of these fights in a lot of ways and controlling the direction that they're supposed to have. So, decisions being made from SFU now as they have to figure out what exactly are they going to do. That gold lead, that cushion of insurance that they had is no longer there. There's less than 2,000 gold separating both of these teams, and at 34 minutes of the game, that's not enough. That's not enough to be able to have a cushion at all. So they're going to have to make some conscious decisions on when, where, and how they're going to have a new assault strategy. And there it is, just go in and fight.
Goldjet able to find himself a little bit of an opening. Teleport coming in by Demnis. Demnis looking to land a chain, doesn't land. Glacial Prison does land on the Goldjet, but down goes Kazahana. That goes the big tanky front line. Chains of Corruption spreading, but not going to land anywhere. And it does look like the backs are trying to be stopped here by Demnis. This gives an open mid lane to the rest of the team. The blue turret is destroyed, the first one for the side of UBC in the top lane, but it's just a mad sprint down into the mid lane for SFU.
And this is where decision making from SFU really comes into play. They thought, all right, we got a little bit of a lead, the jungler's down, let's push onto the mid lane. They weren't able to stop the back, and so all of the wave clear from UBC is still available. So they're not going to have any sort of success with this push. They're going to have to be forced to back off, but here's where the fun starts to happen. You do have the Drake coming up in 1:35, and it is the Elder Drake, and so now is where UBC is going to have to make a very hard push at acquiring vision control around that Dragon Pit, because things are going to get scary if the members of SFU are able to get that 4-stack Elder Drake.
Jump 15 to 14, 35 minutes in, about a 2,000 gold lead difference, but kind of negligible, not really too big of a difference here. What a great game for our first match of the grand finals of our Canadian Invitational between SFU and UBC. Both these teams now starting to position on the bottom side of the map, get vision, play the vision game, go back, get more wards, play the game even more. Vision so important.
Neither one of these teams backing down and making sure that if the other is throwing the pressure, they're making sure to compensate just because of the fact. 40 seconds as a timer. We need to keep track of this with the Dragon, because the Elder Dragon is certainly going to be the X factor on whether or not SFU is able to actually continue to close this game out, or if UBC is going to be able to turn it in on its head. Another timer to keep track of, 45 seconds until the Baron, so it's going to have to be a decision making. But if I was SFU, I would be making sure that all of my efforts was going for making sure that this Elder Dragon was mine.
UBC trying a little bit of a cheeky play there, hiding out in the bush, not able to find anything, the Fnatic bush as it's commonly referred to as. See you later, LeBlanc. LeBlanc gets taken down. The decoy gets taken down. 15 to 14 now. Both teams positioning around the bottom side of the map, so it's going to be Dragon as the priority, not the Baron. As we see Kazahana go over the wall, J-Jill able to live barely, and Kazahana living for such a long time, able to walk himself out, and that was a great attempt. No Glacial Prison used in that one, but there it is. It does finally land on the J-Jill, but just J-Jill. Down he goes. The support is out of the fight, but there's still a lot of damage left in this fight. It is Gold Jet, and now Frozen Knight very low, able to cleanse it out, and it's a kill heading on over to KT Smurf. Now caught out is Gold Jet. Gold Jet also goes down as well, and now KT Smurf catching out Pneumatic, but there is Demnus. Demnus able to help out his buddy, and the Death Ray not going to land, and instead of heading to any sort of objective, it does look like UBC is going to push the mid lane.
But regardless, UBC has been fantastic at making sure that when there are these missteps of SFU, they're taking control, they're making sure to take over. We saw it right there, a mispositioning by SFU. Kazahana waited patiently to use that Glacial Prison perfectly. They're able to get the kills, they're able to secure themselves that little minute victory in the war, and now it's going to be the Baron coming out at UBC, securing themselves the lead, and for the first time all game, it's the gold lead going in advantage of University of British Columbia.
Big play to them, way to keep their head, but now the question is, will the Elder Drake head on over to the side of SFU? They have four baby drakes. If they get the big one, they're going to be Aubrey Graham big.
Okay, so Teleport came in from the Fiora, but it was way, way behind, so she's going to have to be coming from the wave onto that. But oh no, Osna gets caught!
Osna does get caught out very low and will be able to live for a little bit longer. And now Kazahana went onto the backside, was able to Glacial Prison the support and AD carry. KT Smurf looking for a little bit of kill. Flash over the wall by Gold Jet. Will get caught in the gravity field. KT Smurf goes down. That's the big carry for UBC. And so what does that mean for the side of UBC? What does that mean for SFU? They're going to go ahead and forego the Elder Drake and move into the mid lane.
This is where things are going to get difficult for UBC if they're not careful, because their main form of wave clear is gone. They're going to have to be forced to defend this.
Gold Jet gets a little bit lower, but able to walk himself out. The trap game not on point coming out of Osna, but they did defend the tower. But how will they fare 5v4? With a lot of their vision getting taken away? This is so risky for the side of UBC to continue to contest this Elder Drake without any vision. They do have Baron, so they can continue to push the mid lane and get vision through the mid lane down to the river, but you can see Frozen Knight there taking out the control wards and preventing any vision. If you go in blind, you can possibly walk into a face full of corrupting chains.
They're doing it again.
And here it goes. The Drake is getting started up. Osna looking at it. There's the route onto the Fiora. Gold Jet doing a solid job sitting on the damage dealers. Kazahana not able to find anything. Pneumatic is able to take down the Duelist. 22-year goes down. It's a three-man Aqua Prison coming out of J-Jill, and that's going to win the fight. Osna, the last one alive. Down he goes. 19-18. Huge play from the support.
KT Smurf wasn't there to help out, and just like that, it's going to be SFU turning things around. Oh,
KT Smurf turning the damage around, going with the vision, able to use the Zonias. Will he be able to get the damage down on Gold Jet? Very low is Gold Jet. Yes, he is. He turns it around. And so a little bit of a saving grace out of KT Smurf, but it's an open path to the mid lane.
But Daniel, we're 40 minutes into this game, which means we've got extremely long death timers for everyone across the board. Still 15 seconds left on every member, and so not only is that going to be an inhibitor in the mid lane going in favor of SFU, now they're able to rotate top. They already popped the inhib on the top side, so 2 inhibitors down. 40 minutes, 40 seconds in this game. SFU has capitalized on some UBC missteps.
J-Jill with the huge Aqua Prison, getting all 3 of the last members alive in UBC and allowing his team to corral them in, pick up those kills, and KT Smurf with a very cheeky, sneaky kill coming out as well to slow this game down. That would have been game if he did not find both those kills.
And so now is where things get scary for UBC.
For UBC, okay.
2 inhibitors down.
I'm scared.
Super minions bearing down the mid in the top lane, and there's still the Elder Dragon up. And without a Baron to have to worry about... Okay,
he's okay.
We wanted it to happen.
He's all right.
But without a Baron to worry about, it's all coming down to prioritizing that Elder Dragon if you're SFU. You cannot underestimate the value of a 4-stack Drake, on that Elder Dragon buff. And so that's something that FSU is definitely keeping in mind. They're going to stall, they're going to play patient, but look at what we have for UBC. I thought it was going to be one. I thought it was going to be one of those ones.
Yeah, UBC, I think, doing the right call of hanging around the Drake, but the issue is you have super minions pushing down the mid and top lane.
And you're missing a Nexus turret as well, but look who's going to turn into the aggressor. UBC trying to get that Elder Drake on. Are they going to be able to secure this?
Gosh, they're burning it down so quickly. Where's Frozen Knight? He's not there in time. The Elder Drake heads on over to the side of UBC. Not that that's a game breaker, but it does slow down the scaling of SFU, and look at the backs are getting canceled. That means, look at the top lane, look at the mid lane. In the mid lane, the base is getting blown up right now. The only person back is KT Smurf. He's trying to take down Pneumatic. Pneumatic is very low. He just can take it down. And now it's just Goldjet trying to take the base. It's very low. 22 here trying to get there. The gravity field does go down. KT Smurf trying to slow it down. A couple more auto attacks. One more auto attack. No, there's Stemness. The minion picks up the kill. And that's going to be the end of the game. What a crazy, crazy way to end it. One auto attack coming out of a minion somewhere ends this game. Oh, I can't breathe.
It was a team with a mission, but more importantly, it was, again, another consolidated collective effort by SFU. They said, all right, we've been mentioning the Elder Dragon. We've heard the casters talking about it for the last 20 minutes. Maybe we should go for it, but the rest of them say, you know what, screw this. You're missing a Nexus turret. There's a heck of a lot of super minions in your base, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go kill the Nexus. Beautiful effort by Goldjet. Even better effort by them to come and go, that's mine, 50 gold. I won the game, guys. But at the end of the day, it's SFU taking away the game one victory. And UBC, no matter how much they clawed, no matter how much they scraped, they still came up short.
They did. Big plays coming out of J-Jill on Nami. We got to see the support masterminds J-Jill and JJ last game, and in this game 7-3-4, I feel like did not make the same big, huge, game-breaking type plays that J-Jill was able to do. Even there at the very end, the tidal wave stopped the recalls of the team UBC to go back, defend the base, and J-Jill carrying the team to victory here after 42 minutes and 42 seconds. But after a barn burner like that, we've got more action for you here. It's the best of three here in the Canadian Invitational, the grand finals between SFU and UBC. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, it'll be game two. Don't touch that browser. We're going to go get some water.
color and connection. We're all one. Separation's only an illusion. When we
Welcome to the League of Legends Collegiate Star League Canadian Invitational. I'm Daniel Degon Gonzalez. With me is Bill Jump Carter. Bill, we just had our game one of the grand finals between SFU, Simon Fraser University, and UBC, University of British Columbia, with SFU coming barely through with the win.
And it's not just what either one of these teams have done, it's what they've done against each other.
Right.
This has been such an exciting series, and we've only seen game one, and neither one of these teams are backing down. Neither one of these teams are willing to take a loss and then just lay down in the fight. They're fighting until the last man stands, and that's exactly what actually pushed SFU to the first game win, was they were able to distract the members of UBC just long enough for the other members to come into the enemy nexus to get the damage down, and then it took that just one last little tap, the butterfly on the camel's back, to just break UBC, and that was Demnus coming through, securing that nexus, that game one win, and now with game two, UBC is going to have to change things up.
Yeah, University of British Columbia, the former champions of the North American Collegiate World, were knocked out this year's tournament by Simon Fraser University, now the best in the West. They still have another week before we crown our North American Collegiate champion for all of the North America, not just Canada. And you really got to see a sense of why UBC used to be the best. They were able to fight back from an 8,000 goal deficit, and
they got ahead at one point. Yeah, they got ahead at one point, but they still faltered, they still fell short, and now's the time when your back's against the wall. We do not have a best of five. This is a best of three. Let's mind you and the audience and everybody watching, this is not your standard best of five finals, and so you need to make adjustments now. And that's exactly what University of British Columbia is doing. We have a substitute in the jungle, Proof of Payment. One of the old guard of UBC is making his debut now here for the Canadian Invitational, subbing in for Hazakana in the jungle position.
And a little bit of a cheeky play there in his clan tag, GGSFU. Going to be a little bit of BM there in the Twitch chat and also in the games. But Graves taken away immediately. Lee Sin knocked out. So the respect bans coming out of SFU against Proof of Payment. So let's talk about the difference between Proof of Payment and Kazahana. What are the differences between those guys?
If you look at Kazahana, it's team mentality. That's all he's thinking about. That's all he's taking into effect. The support style junglers, those tank junglers, the one that's going to be there to help and assist his team at any point in any motion. Proof of Payment, on the other hand, all aggression, all the time. When he played for them 2 years ago, he took a year off of school, went to a different university. Now he's back at University of British Columbia, and he played with the old guard. He played with their JJ in the top lane. He played with these just powerful, strong foundation of the UBC Esports Club. Now that he's in this setup, he's going to try to bring his aggression to this newly developed squad that you see here from University of British Columbia.
You know, and we talked about the Sejuani play by Kazahana last game. He was the main engage. They used him as the glacial prison, and he did some really nice mind games. He was a good engager, but unfortunately, I think that just fell apart. The LeBlanc in the mid lane in the hands of Demnus kind of started popping off in the top lane. Goldjet as Renekton was able to bypass the whole front line into the back line and wreak havoc onto the likes of Ozna and KT Smurf. And KT Smurf wasn't able to dish out the damage that he needed to. He did pop off, get himself into a great position, but once we got to the late game, past 40 minutes, it was a battle of wits, and SFU barely came out on top.
And now is the time to make the adjustments. Now is the time to change your mentality because of that rough loss that UBC just had in game one. And we can already see a big difference of that with the prioritization that they have done in their first pick. The previous time when they picked a cross, they prioritized getting something for Kazahana because he was kind of their staple point. Now, Proof of Payment says, hey, I'm confident. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know what champions I'm capable of performing on. Let's get somebody else on the team a priority. And so with that Lulu as a last ban coming out of SFU, that's going to be a Karma quick first pick there for the side of UBC.
Yep, Karma, one of the top tier supports. We always talk about it. The shielding type support. Ivern is open. But proof of payment, not an
No,
Ivern player
you
at
need
all.
aggression. That's all. That's all that proof of payment is made of, is all aggression all the time. And now we don't want to gloss over. You did have the Thresh picked up. JJL has played that from time to time, has the playmaking ability and the zoning skills to kind of help out his team. But there's also that early Gragas pickup for Goldjet. And the last time we saw Gragas being played by Goldjet, he was able to roam a lot and show a lot of effect of the pressure, even without using that teleport. And so it's going to be up to CJ to make sure that he combats that. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually just go up for their top laner here and just go up against that Gragas, whether it be the Renekton or something of that effect. And instead, though, it's going to be the Nautilus. And so instead of the carry top lane that we're used to CJ seeing, he's going to take a back seat and say, you know what, we've changed some styles up. I'm going to allow other members to be aggressive. I'm going to play a tank on the top lane and just go with those noodle fights in the top with Gragas.
And that was the big question with bringing in proof of payment. The more aggressive player, he's going to be on a damage dealer. Where is the tank role going to land upon? Before Kazahana, more than happy to go ahead and play the tank role. That's what he likes to play. He made Challenger as a tank roller. But now it's going to go ahead and switch over to CJ in the top lane, 22 year. And I like that because it's going to show off his versatility. And he's like, hey guys, you can put it on me. It's make or break on me to do my job as a tank.
But I think a lot of that pressure as well kind of gets transferred from CJ's shoulders onto proof of payment, because now proof of payment is in a carry jungler spot. He's on that Kha'Zix. He needs to be able to do well and needs to be able to combat. And what better way for SFU to do fire with fire? It's going to be the Rengar picked up for Frozen Knight. And so we saw his aggressive style jungling with the Graves. Now that he has the Rengar, it's going to be the classic Kha'Zix versus Rengar matchup here between these two teams, and what better way to do it than the way that SFU has shown that dominance, and that dominance is continuing here with the Varus pickup for Pneumatic.
The hunt is on, and Pneumatic 4 games in a row. Gonna be on the Varus. He's done a solid job. He did suffer his first couple deaths last game, but either way, whenever you are able to play the same champion over and over and over again, it gets you into a position where you're comfortable with it, you know the limits, and it's in your mind, in your short-term memory. So he's able to push it to the limits every time without having to worry about, all right, well, what other champions am I doing? I'm not going to accidentally try to use a dash as Varus. Varus doesn't have a dash, so he knows the limits right there. And on the opposite side, Osna not going to go with the Caitlyn. It's going to be the Lucian, and Kassadin snuck through. That was something that we were looking at earlier on.
So here is where SFU gets to make the decision of how they're going to combat this. They waited for their mid pick for the very last on the counter. We expected this to happen considering how strong and how confident they are in the rest of their positions. And so now they forced KT Smurf to show his hand. It is that Kassadin, but what is he going to do to combat that? I believe that if they decide to lock this in, this could be a Riven. This would be a very smart decision if they decide to do so. But they're hovering around. They're making us wait. They're telling the casters, you know what? It doesn't matter. We're just going to wait. We're just going to allow this to kind of pick across. I wouldn't be surprised if they go with something a little bit more aggressive to combat that. But if they're wanting to play smart, if they're wanting to play the SFU that we know, they'll play something a little bit more consistent. But instead, they shock us both, and it's going to be the Jace being picked up here for Demnus. So another carry in the mid lane, but an AD mid laner, which could create a lot of havoc for KT Smurf if he's not careful.
We got to see Kassadin go off, pop off, get fed, and roam across the map. And the only reason why that happened was because KT Smurf's Kassadin was playing against an AP mid laner. And so he's able to mitigate the damage, farm up well, bully in the mid lane even, because he's not taking damage because of his Null Sphere shield. However, that only mitigates AP damage. Jace, long range, massive shock blast, AD carry damage coming out here, and that's going to mean that Kassadin might not be able to farm as easy as he did beforehand. So with that, he might actually be having some trouble that we normally see Kassadins have. They're not able to transition from the early game to a mid-game roam to pop off and then get to the late game.
And it's not just the matchup in the mid lane that makes this Jace pick so powerful. It's the fact that they actually have the composition to build around more poke-heavy success.
Correct.
They've got the Varus for the extra poke, and if you look at the composition here coming out of UBC, it's a very short-ranged composition. And so when you go against a poke composition, and the only, I guess, way that you really have to engage is that Nautilus, things could get very difficult for UBC if they get behind. Now, that being said, the mid-game power, something that they've expressed is their strong suit, something that we've seen them do very well on, coincides with the composition that they've picked.
Yes.
Lucian and Kassadin, as well as the Kazakhs, are very powerful in the mid-game. Once they get those first 2 items, they definitely have what it takes to be able to show off that pressure, but it all comes down to making sure that they can get to that point. Because you have so much power, because you have so much aggression on the side of SFU, it's going to have to be very crisp decision making coming out of UBC if they want to make sure that they take advantage of the composition that they have locked themselves into.
I think a good way to take advantage of their composition is to fight around neutral objectives. They're lacking a lot of consistent, hard crowd control. So what that means is they need to be around the neutral objectives. They need to fight around Dragon. They need to fight around Baron, because those objectives are in set locations on the map, which means the other team, if they want it, has to come there. If you're just trying to roam around in the jungle, trying to catch people in the river, they don't have to go there.
And the thing about it, too, is they actually have a very solid pick composition in the sense of just raw single target damage. Kazakhs, Kassadin, as well as Lucian have a lot of that at their disposal.
Right.
And so if they're able to acquire the vision control, something that 734 really prioritizes and kind of just prides himself in, is being able to help his team with an adequate amount of vision control. If they can acquire that and set themselves up in brushes appropriately, there is an opportunity for them to catch SFU off guard. But we've seen SFU make unbelievable decision-making when it comes to collective decisions and just hard-line decisions at executing their strategy as efficiently as possible. And so it's going to be very difficult for UBC to combat that, but we're going to have to just see what happens.
We're just going to have to see what happens indeed. So we're going to take a very short break. But before we do, let's go ahead and thank some of our sponsors here. Thank you so much to Azus providing all of the equipment you see here, being a huge, huge supporter of collegiate esports. Thank you so much. Twitch.tv, the largest gaming streaming platform in all of the world. Thank you so much to Twitch TV. And of course, Band Gaming. Hit them up at band.us on your Android and Apple devices. Thank you to the CSL team and obviously Cineplex for putting us up here at the Scotiabank Theater and all of their support for collegiate esports. So when we come back, we're going to have game 2, possibly the final game here, is if SFU is able to pull this one out between SFU and UBC. Don't touch that browser. The lights go down and the energy goes up here as we're back on the Rift in game 2 of the grand finals, possibly the match clinching game here for SFU, Simon Fraser University, the West's best in 2017, the #1 seed from the West, going up against last year's national champion, continental champion, University of British Columbia. UBC trying to find their way back. They're going to be on the blue side, so let's start the rosters with them. You know them, you love them. It's in the top lane. It's 22-year, also known as CJ, playing Nautilus. In the jungle, it's going to be Proof of Payment. That's the big substitute wearing the GGSFU tag. KT Smurf in the mid lane, pulling out his Kassadin at AD carry and support. It's Osna and 734.
And for the side of SFU, looking to keep their consistency abroad in taking down the previous champs of University of British Columbia, it's going to be Gold Jet in the top lane, Frozen Knight in the jungle, Demnis in the mid lane, Pneumatic at AD carry with JJL at support, as we do have that little bit of a pause. Had a couple mic issues, but that's fixed, that's remedied, that's ready to rock and roll, as a little bit of vision is trying to be acquired from UBC to figure out where exactly is Frozen Knight going to start and how are they going to mirror that with Proof of Payment.
I'm loving the Thresh come out. I'm loving it come out because we're so used to seeing all of these, I guess, meta slave supports. That's the Lulu, the Karma, the Nami, maybe a little bit of Braum in pro play. Haven't seen a lot of Thresh And Thresh is always viable because Death Sentence is up, holds someone in place, grasps them, allows the Thresh to ride them all the way up into them, throw the Dark Passage behind them, and lead into some big-time plays. And J-Jill has made big-time plays.
But the difficulty that J-Jill's going to be facing is that he's going against champions that have movement abilities. You've got Ozna with the dash, you've got KT Smurf with the blink, Proof of Payment with the jump, and then throwing that in with the speed up of 734. So when it gets to these kind of close team fight situations, he's going to have to be very decisive on where exactly he wants to throw out that death sentence and to see if he can actually make something happen. As we have gotten started, minions have walked themselves down the lane, and the fights have started off already. Proof of Payment doing a fantastic job at actually counter jungling here and taking away the blue buff from Frozen Knight, and without any sort of vision control coming off here on the side, rather of SFU, they're going to have to try to find a way to combat that. They did see Karma run up into the lane, so they assumed that the blue buff was taken. So that's going to allow Frozen Knight to go mirror over, and they're just going to end up trading out the blue buffs. But now, with the blue buff being done through, as well as the level 2 Proof of Payment, he's actually lurking onto the bot side to see if he can maybe make something happen.
I think you realize that there's not too much to be happening in the lane. The lane is kind of shoved up right now as you see the minion waves on. If you take the lane of the bottom side of the map, divide it up in half, if the minions where they're fighting is on one side of the other team's lane, you really don't want to gank that lane early on because you're too close to the tower. They're able to retreat away a little bit faster. So it's better to spend your time farming up the enemy's jungle. And if you look on the mini-map, you can see the blue Kazakhs on the bottom side of the map, just taking away the wolves, taking away all that he can, and Frozen Knight Rengar not able to reciprocate. So there's a little bit of a lead being taken here by Proof of Payment.
And I think that's with the lack of knowledge that Frozen Knight had. He expected Proof of Payment to run into his jungle, grab that blue buff, and then, get the heck out of dodge. But instead, Proof of Payment takes the Grom, actually ends up taking some of the wolf pack, isn't able to take the whole wolf pack indeed, and as a result is able to have now a delayed blue buff, a delayed red buff, which is going to give him an uncharacteristic, not only timing, but more importantly, red buff acquirement, so he can actually gank a lane and use that to its full advantage.
Use it to the full advantage. Indeed, Ozna able to continue putting down pressure. Pneumatic not having as much of a rosy laning phase as he's used to. He's already used 2 of his 3 potions. You can see the big #1 sign on his items on the bottom right-hand corner. And that's a lot of poke coming out of 734. And again, we've talked about it, 734's supports are always aggressive, and he does a solid job landing those skills to punish the opposing bottom lane.
And this is where you're starting to see as well the rebuttal with the mid-season changes in the Doran's shield. KT Smurf actually, instead of going for the corrupting potion, something that you're used to seeing when you're going against the poke in the mid lane, actually ends up going for that Doran's shield because of the regeneration that it gives you. It does end up giving you 20 health generation over the course of a couple seconds every time you do get hit with an auto attack. And so that's going to allow KT Smurf to have a little bit more sustain in this lane. And believe it or not, he's only 4 CS behind. So a solid opportunity by him to just really combat Demnus in the mid lane. As Demnus does end up going back, he will be teleporting back to lane very quickly. And look at that, a very early Hex Drinker, respecting the damage and power that KT Smurf has as a Cassidy, but more importantly, giving him more opportunities to just duel back and forth pre-level 6.
I kind of don't like that. Don't you think Demnus should be going in with more damage to continue punishing KT Smurf? He has the range advantage. You land a shockwave if you double down on your damage rather than getting a protective item like the Hex Drinker. Aren't you giving him an opportunity to scale?
I don't think so, because you went back at level 5, and so you're already expecting that level 6 to come up and him to be able to kind of duck, dodge, and dive. But now look at what we have here.
Flash away by Proof of Payment, and the early skirmish between the junglers was won by the Rengar.
So a little bit of a skirmish there, and it ends up being SFU that comes out on top, blowing that flash. Solid effort there, but now Frozen Knight is getting caught out. He was in the jungle, but 22 year.
He is, 22 year, able to collapse down, and there it is. Gold Jet in a little bit of trouble. There is no flash on Proof of Payment. Will they continue chasing? Maybe, but here comes Demnis. Demnis able to land a little bit more damage with the shockwave. It isn't huge because he didn't double down on damage, but it's enough to deter the jungler and the top laner of UBC away from the SFU team.
And it's going to force a little bit of a reset, but it also forced that flash out as well. Anytime you're able to blow summoner spells early, especially when those members have such a game-changing level 6 ultimate such as Gold Jet, those are some sincere opportunities for you to take advantage of. Now, Gold Jet does have the rejuvenation, so he's not going to have to worry about going back. But as we say that, it is going to be 22 year and him kind of dueling back and forth. Frozen Knight is onto the top side, but it doesn't look like he wants to tango at all. He's just going to be able to go back, buy himself that Tracker's Knife, sit on that damage, but 22 years level 6.
Yeah, he uses the depth charge, but Gold Jet is able to walk into the tower range. 22 year did not want to go in, get bounced backwards himself by the explosive cask, and Gold Jet able to get away.
He had the anchor available, but believe it or not, he actually had a minion that was on less than 20 HP, so he couldn't actually get through onto that, and it was forced to walk around, and that was just enough time for Gold Jet to actually sit under the safety of his turret. And so all events lost, but again, it's what summoner spells can you burn. The teleport is burned now by Gold Jet, and so that's going to give the teleport advantage over onto the side of UBC and CJ specifically.
So KT Smurf in the mid lane farming up well against Jace. Remember, Jace is that was close. An AD mid laner. He has a long range set of spells with his shock hammer, shock blast being the big one of those, and that could poke down KT Smurf. Cassidans like to roam. They like to go ahead and find themselves a kill. He has teleport to get himself either in lane or behind enemy lines to find some kills, and once he gets a certain amount of items, Rift Walk, which is Cassidans' ability, is more than enough to deal damage. Flash away by Jajal after a great calling out of Osna. And so now both these teams are just kind of feeling each other out. A little bit of maybe positional mistakes. Fatigue might be setting in here at our Invitational.
And you want to talk about a little bit of a feel out there. JJL actually is the first member to go for this new coin build. Coin having a lot of different changes and just the overall efficiency that it has across the mark. And teams are still trying to figure out how they're able to use that to the advantage. We talked to a couple of the analysts from some of these teams, and they mentioned that it's not really that viable. Yes, you've got Frost Queen's Claim that's pretty good on a couple individuals, as well as the Targon upgrades, but Coin just doesn't have a spot just yet. However, it's SFU fully committing to this Coin, saying, you know what, we're going to make this work. JJO will be able to help come out on top. He doesn't end up going down, but he does blow the flash. But as long as they play safe and they can utilize that gold setup, once he does hit that 650 mark, opportunities could happen abroad.
He blowed it indeed. Jajal not going to upgrade the Ancient Coin, instead going to buy Vision first and a Control Ward to help out the laning phase. Nomadic and Osna now at level 6. Nomadic known for his engages. He is the engager on his team to help out Gold Jet and Frozen Knight and Demnis get down damage. Demnis does not have hard CC to help himself get damage down. Proof of payment now in the bushes. 7-3-4 forcing Nomadic back, but here comes a big party. Frozen Knight, Demnis, and Jajal said, hey, we want to get invited to the party as well. 7-3-4 able to flash away. Demnis going onto the back line, and there's the first kill onto the support. Now Demnis gets very low, popped up by depth charge. Down he goes. Proof of payment showing why he was subbed in. Picks up a kill. Osna getting a second one. Proof of payment very low, but able to walk himself out of trouble. It's a 2-for-1.
22 year coming in. That teleport advantage we said was a help.
KT Smurf flashes forward, dashes in. Frozen Knight very low. KT Smurf gonna pick that one up. There it is. Frozen Knight goes down. Nomadic trying to find himself one more. The tower shots might be enough, and it's not. It's 4 kills heading on over to UBC.
Beautiful rotation there by KT Smurf, something that he has done time and time again to help out his team. If somebody is struggling across the map, he's going to rotate, he's going to react, and he's going to help. They're able to pick up the 4 kills, an even better situation because the teleport that they had in the bot lane with 22 year coming up strong, and now it's going to be the Ocean Drake on the menu. It's eaten, it's devoured, it's UBC rocking and rolling.
So UBC able to make it on the bottom side of the map, though what was lost on the top side, Gold Jet on his big drinking Gragas, continually shoving down the top side of the map. Will not be able to take the tower. 22 year will get back in time, but Gold Jet does get a pretty penny for it. He's up 15 CS right now and will cash that in a little bit. But we got that Kassadin rolling to 0-1.
But here's where the tides can start to flip over into the favor of SFU. Gold Jet did not have that teleport available, so now he's got the advantage, has about a minute and a half window ahead of 22 Year to be able to make something happen onto the other side of the map if they so choose. And this is 800 gold separating two of these teams. So now it's SFU having to play from behind. KT Smurf is doing a little bit of a split build, was very worried about that Demnus power coming from the Jason, so he decided to go for a little bit of armor, Seeker's Arm Guard helping him out a little bit first, but now with those extra kills, was able to get the boots as well as that Catalyst finish. And so though it's delayed on as far as the Rod of Ages goes, it doesn't mean that he's still not going to be able to have that mana pool to just continuously rift walk to help out his team.
At the Rod of Ages, yet again, as just to clarify, continues to get stronger as the game goes on, up to 10 stacks, over 10 minutes, but you got to finish it first. And by splitting his gold, he kind of slows that down. So both mid laners respecting the other mid laner enough to slow down their aggressive build.
And since Proof of Payment got that first kill, we really haven't seen him do too much. He had a solid sense of counter jungling in the early game and tried to get some vision control, but he hasn't really done too much else. He's down about 12 CS in the jungle, which is quite a decent amount at this stage of the game, 12 and a half minutes in. And I want to see Proof of Payment start to try to affect the map more. KT Smurf has already got some gold into his pocket. You've got Ozna as well, 1-0 and 3 on that Lucian. Blade of the Rune King almost completed. And so I want to see Proof of Payment take advantage of his teammates' success and try to help to see if they can snowball that a little bit more.
Junglers on opposite sides right now looking to figure out what lane to help get the numbers advantage on. 7-3-4 and Ozna. Quite some time now, been chilling, hanging out.
Uh-oh.
But this might be Frozen Knight in a little bit of trouble. Here comes the teleport coming out of the Gragas. Will not get canceled. Frozen Knight, nice nifty play, will get himself out of trouble. It's actually a double teleport coming in. Demnus gonna join the party as well on the bottom side of the map. And KT Smurf, Ozna, Proof of Payment now coming in. Nice body slam by Goldjet into a death sentence, and that's a nice play coming out of Jajel. The kill picked up by Goldjet. Now Ozna caught off by himself. Pneumatic gonna pick that one up. And although it looked promising for UBC, it gets turned around, and this might be the first tower as well.
But that's where the double teleport comes in. And again, one of these teams taking advantage of the teleport that they had in the top lane. Great teleport down by Goldjet to help himself up, but more importantly, it was the double explosive cast that he was able to come off, throw the multiple members into his team, and pick up that kill successfully. So now they're able to get the first gold lead, and just like that, all of the opportunity that we were seeing UBC create from themselves has now put them in a deficit.
But why force that? If you're the side of UBC, why force the bottom lane play after you saw both teleports? You had vision of it. You saw both members went down to the bottom side of the map, and you're going in 5v4 without vision of where they might be.
I think it started off as, hey, we want to be able to pick up that kill on the Frozen Knight, and they essentially forgot that the bot lane was there, and that really speaks to just the rotational prowess that every member of SFU has, of Pneumatic and Jajel coming through, because things got dropped through, but now...
Oh, Jajel able to get the death sentence down on Proof of Payment. Wow, that was very lucky. Now Frozen Knight getting obliterated. So Jajel turned what was a bad situation into an okay one, but his jungler still gets killed. Death sentence not going to be written there. 22 Year in front. Demnus wants to go ahead, turn the damage around, does a great job with the shock blast. Getting blocked by the minions might be his fate. 22 Year barely able to get away, but the shock blast does pick up the kill. Demnus finds that one. It's a 1-for-1.
Beautiful little setup there by Demnus to get away just successfully, using that transformation to have just enough to be able to throw it off the mark, and they pick up the kill on a 22 Year. That's the front line down. You are 15 minutes, 15 seconds into this game, so Rift Herald is a possibility, but instead, you've got SFU saying, you know what, we're just going to collect the laurels that we were able to acquire just now. We're going to take that gold, we're going to be able to go back, and here is where SFU, again, is making these conscious decisions to not overstep their boundaries. When they get the win, when they get the advantages, let's take it, let's have it, let's not push for more, because we understand what happens when we misstep, and we understand the power that UBC brings to the table.
So great back and forth between these teams so far. It did look like UBC had a solid foothold of the lead, but right now the gold is again bang even, tied up at 25,500. The tower going down on the top side of the map. Good pushing there by the minions. for SFU. UBC trying to figure out what their next play is as we have a 3-man little push here by SFU in the mid lane.
You do have the dragon spawning in about 30 seconds, and if you take a look, it is that Mountain Drake, which could help both of these teams in their pushing power and kind of creating some extra pressure. You can see the pings coming out by SFU to kind of acquire some vision onto that, but I think that they're using this as forcing UBC to make a decision. Are you guys going to go for the dragon, or are you going to prioritize the Rift Herald? Because that's something that they have with this double teleport, both of them rather showing up at roughly the same time, and it is going to be the commit there onto the Rift Herald by SFU, saying if you're going to try to do something, you're going to have to do it as a contest, and it looks like UBC might just give this one up.
UBC will give this one up. It allows KT Smurf on the bottom side of the map on the Kassadin to continue farming up, continue scaling. He is 2-0-2, does have the Rod of Ages completed, as you see the big purple rod there with the big #1 right next to it. All the while, UBC is going to be glad to take the Drake instead. So a little bit of interesting trade here, pushing power over the long term of the game for UBC, and the other side you have the extra Rift Herald to be summoned at any point. Nice death sentence, not going to be followed up, but a nice trade here in objectives.
And this is where we get to see, even as casters, for a moment become the spectator, because we have seen various renditions of what people are doing to essentially capitalize and make the Rift Herald more expensive. And as I say that, Frozen Knight
getting caught out. The culling not going to cull anyone right there. Dark Passage going to get him to safety. Jajal, right spot, right time.
And now you're going to have a nice little push coming out of UBC. They have the opportunity to try to get themselves an advantage because of how low Frozen Knight is, but he's going to stay around. He's going to stay local. You've got Demnus coming down the mid lane as well, a flank coming in from Goldjet. They want to fight.
Oh, the Chain of Corruption will land on the KT Smurf. 22 year now caught out in the front line. Another death sentence going to be written, and the tower's going to help out as well. 22 year getting caught out. Big explosive cast coming out of Goldjet to lead to the kill.
So now it's SFU pulling the seesaw in their direction, saying we're going to make sure that we capitalize onto that. They focus down the front line tank, and there's nothing as far as the engage factor goes, so they're going to have to be forced to wave clear SFU on the mark. But with mana bars low and no real ultimates to really do anything, SFU is just going to have to back off and really try to recollect themselves.
KT Smurf was in a flanking position, but just does not have the damage that he did in previous games, so smartly decided to wait up. But with recalls coming out of UBC, or out of SFU right now, it opens up the mid lane as a possibility. Having a mid laner like Demnus for SFU to continually be able to clear the minion waves allows SFU to stem the tide of pressure. We saw in the previous matches, I think out of all the teams, there was this slingshot effect where, okay, we're going to take this, take these objectives and now recall. And during that recall, the second team was like, no. Now that you're recalling, we're going to take something else. But with one champion, Jace in the mid lane for Demnus, he's able to push everyone out, and now the Rift Herald is going to be called.
Double teleport coming in from the side of UBC, though. They want to be able to fight this. Here it comes.
Yeah, there's the ultimate onto Thresh. Maybe not exactly the person you wanted. CJ, 22 year, gets taken out. He gets all the years taken off of his life. Ozna not able to find anyone with the culling. KT Smurf thinking about going in. Demnus getting caught out. Does get slowed down by the Blade of the Rune King. In goes Goldjet. Nice body slam to disengage. KT Smurf goes back in. There's the engage by Rengar. Very low as Jajal. Jajal goes down. Ozna does go down. The Chain of Corruption does land, and it's going to be 2 kills heading on over to SFU. UBC forced to back off. It's a 3-for-1.
Pneumatic's patience with that Chain of Corruption throughout the entirety of today has been the most astounding feature of SFU's micro play. His ability to stall and wait for the most opportune time to use that Chain of Corruption for his team has flipped the fight so many times. Prime example in the last fight, ensuring that he locks down 3 members. They're able to get the kills. The turret, KT Smurf trying to dissuade them, but SFU got what they wanted. They're going to back off, heal up, and collect themselves some new items.
And as SFU, Simon Fraser continues to push their lead, we're finding University of British Columbia in these situations where they're defending their tower, under their tower, like you normally would. The tower goes ahead and targets other enemy champions that are there, but it really puts them like fish in a barrel because you have someone like Demnus to land some skills. You have Pneumatic with the piercing arrow to just shoot through the tower, shoot through the minions, and put down damage. We see 22 year getting caught out a little bit. and forced away. But this is the situation Simon Fraser wants. It doesn't matter if we get a ton, but if we're able to push you under your tower, we're just going to continue to shoot our projectiles at you until you get knocked out.
SFU does not fall prey to the all-or-nothing play style that we see a lot of teams at the collegiate and even challenger level as well fall prey to. They get themselves a lead, they over-aggress, or they get behind and they don't do anything. SFU, every state of the game, whether they're ahead, whether they're behind, whether they're dead even, it's slow decisions, smart decisions, and what we like to call a perfect efficiency of calculated aggression. They are weighing the odds, cost-benefit analysis every time they decide that they want to go in. But now it's Goldjet actually getting caught out as I say that.
Goldjet trying to use the explosive cast, not able to push proof of payment out of the way. He's able to flash over the wall. That is a summoner spell burnt for nothing. So a little bit of a victory there for UBC, but what does that really lead to? That's what we are used to seeing them do, able to take some sort of small victory, a summoner spell, an objective, a kill, and turn it into more. They haven't been able to do that this whole series against Simon Fraser.
They haven't indeed. And to the benefit of UBC, they're not facing themselves at an 8,000 gold lead at around the 22-minute mark. Instead, it's a very amicable 3,500 gold. So it's not as big of a deficit that they have to come back to this time. However, a deficit is still a deficit when you're going against a team as powerful as Simon Fraser University. Baron is live, Baron is up and available, and the Dragon as well. 30 seconds on the market is going to be another Ocean Drake. So an opportunity for UBC to potentially get a stack, or we're going to see Simon Fraser actually decide to prioritize that Dragon and get a little bit of a tick of their own.
So the Ocean Drake giving back more HP and mana over time if you stay out of combat. And what that does for the side of Simon Fraser University, it allows them to sit in the lane and continue to shoot their skills out at UBC. And UBC has no answer. They only have one form of engage, one way to start the fight, and that's with 22-year coming in, using his ultimate depth charge to engage someone. Otherwise, they just have to sit under tower and take damage until they hope that Simon Fraser makes a mistake, and they've shown that they don't.
Simon Fraser has repeatedly proven that they're not one to misstep. They're not one to create difficult situations for themselves if they don't have to. And so now we're seeing that in through this very well thought out process. If we've got the vision control, we know we have the lead, so let's go ahead and let's pick ourselves up a Drake. That's going to be the Ocean Drake picked up number one for them. Still 3,500 gold lead separates the two teams, but now you're seeing Simon Fraser slow things down and be a lot more thoughtful about when and where they actually want to engage and try to do something crazy.
8-6 the score here at 24 minutes. The mid lane tower still standing for SFU, but a couple of recalls here, no minion wave, and again, that is the power of Jace. And what I liked is the evolution of the mid lane picks. We had the Kassadin there. Everyone thought Kassadin was the bee's knees, and that's what everyone wanted to go and pick. But as soon as it gets picked up by KT Smurf, Demnis is like, hey, I know how to go ahead and keep my distance, not get into Kassadin's Rift Walk range, not get into Kassadin's Null Sphere range, and hang back clear waves by myself. That allows you, the rest of my team, to roam around the map and make plays. As we do see the tower finally go down, UBC pocketing that change, and it turns this one into a 2,500 gold lead, so not too massive, still very close. The big question again, Bill, if the game continues to go on, we see scaling, who does this benefit?
I actually still see this benefiting the members of SFU, believe it or not, because Varus is only going to get stronger. You're only going to have more powerful poke coming out of Demnis, and there's only one frontline threat. Yes, CJ, as it scales up, is going to get that much tankier, that much scarier to kind of go against as far as a frontline tank situation goes. However, he's the only one, and all other four members are susceptible to insane amounts of poke, and that's exactly what Demnis and Pneumatic are going to do as they get more items, more AD, more scaling as the game drags on.
No real major objectives here. Baron is up, but Baron deals a lot of damage if you want to start doing it now. You have to make sure you have the defensive items. You have to make sure you have enough damage items to kill it down faster. Otherwise, you give yourself an opportunity to get countered by the opposing team. And UBC doing an okay job. You see proof of payment right there, clearing out the vision. Those vision wards, crucial to every team's success, because you don't want to walk into a place that you don't have vision, and the other team wants to take that vision away because then they know they can hang tight, wait for you to walk in there while you try to get vision and catch them out.
Teleport just came in from CJ, so he was thinking that a fight was going to happen. He wasn't able to get a flank, ends up canceling that though, so isn't able to help out, and this is going to be big. He knows he has the teleport disadvantage now against Goldjet, so he's forcing himself away from the bot lane and the split push potential and joining his team. He has to be there because he's the only one that's going to separate these teams as the hook lands.
I think KT Smurf's trying to get a little cheeky so that they start an
Teleport.
engagement. There it is. The teleport gets baited out. That is all they wanted. Flash away. No, Rift walk away by KT Smurf. That is a very smart play by UBC.
And Chain of Corruption is down now with Ultimate still up on the side of UBC. So here's a piece of a window for them to actually take advantage. But that's only if SFU commits to this. And what we have seen from them is that they're okay with not overcommitting. They're okay with just sitting things back and waiting for their timers to come back on. Unless a hook like Jail lands.
Oh man, I love pieces of windows. They're like just like a part of the pane, maybe like the latch.
Yeah.
Just a piece of a window of an opportunity here for UBC to work themselves back in here. It does look like the cooldown on Pneumatic will be working its way up. Still is not up. There's an engage onto Jagel. Jagel getting cold. Down he goes. The Coling will be landing. But look at that. A nice barrel by into Osna. Osna still alive. The kill pressure not enough. Frozen Knight not going to find it. Deadness does get a kill. There's 2 kills heading on over so far for the side of UBC. They're kiting away. Goldjet trying to pick it up. Yes, he's able to pick it up. But on the opposite side, KT Smart popping up. Pneumatic trying to live. Not able to live. He goes down. And Goldjet is going to be the last one alive. He gets taken out. And UBC wins themselves a team fight.
What did we talk about? It's UBC forcing out the ultimates, and with the lack thereof, SFU was not able to fight in that setup. Yes, a fantastic death sentence by Jail, sorry, to be able to get that onto CJ, but it wasn't enough because there weren't any forms of follow-up crowd control from his team. UBC picks themselves up, and now we're close to dead even, only 400 gold separating these 2 teams. KT Smurf still doing a fantastic job at bouncing across in a team fight and switching prioritization on whichever carry needs that attention the most. But that's what UBC has to do. They need to be able to continuously push this out more. And we've seen them do just that. So they've called themselves some gold back up, but it's objectives that they need to be thinking about as well.
Rengar not able to get the assassination needed on the back line. Did leave it up to Goldjet. Goldjet was able to pick it up, but the longer that Osna is able to kite away, the more shields that 734 is able to put down for his AD carry, the more it stalls out for time, as we do see Frozen Knight now getting a little bit aggressive, getting caught out. Nice flash away by 734. Explosive Cask is not going to land. 22 Year all alone, getting caught out. There is the Chains of Corruption to slow down 22 Year. Down goes CJ. It's another kill for SFU, started up by Pneumatic.
The tank is dead, and UBC cannot fight, will not fight in this situation. So this is going to be a window of opportunity for SFU to go for the Baron. They're going to clear out the vision control. There is that lone vision ward there, so they're going to be able to have a little bit of knowledge, UBC knowing exactly where and when they are, but instead they're going to go away from the Baron. They're not going to risk it because they know that there's a potential for positioning from UBC, so they're going to rotate themselves around instead over to the Dragon as it is just spawning. As KT Smurf, you're caught in a rough spot, my friend.
He is, but he goes onto the AD carry, might be able to get himself out of trouble, will be able to Rift walk away. And so a little bit of interesting pathing gets him out of trouble. You see Proof of Payment doing a little bit of taunting right there to try and distract SFU.
Friendly banter in a rivalry game.
Yeah, these guys apparently are friends, but you really can't tell right now. 11-12 is the score. Really, really close in gold. Very negligible right now by 400 gold. 734 and the rest of UBC fighting over vision around the Baron. There is inspiration. They decide to move on in, use the speed buff to get in there. Kha'Zix able to walk away, and Jagel going to be going down. Explosive cast being used, but not to great effect. And now it's a short 5v4.
And they're not going to be able to take this Baron either because they weren't able to take down a high priority target. Yes, JJL went down, both summoners were blown, but what else can UBC do off of this? SFU. We saw what they did last game. They're able to distract, they're able to deflect enough to allow the rest of their team to help out. And look at what we're seeing as a result. It's going to be UBC having to be forced to push waves up without any real accomplishment happening.
22-year walking in. CJ has continually done that, does throw down the depth charge, won't be engaging onto any target. Proof of payment now, just holding Gold Jet onto the top side of the map. And although they're not gaining any objective or any kills, what they are gaining is vision around the Baron pit. It gives the rest of their team time to clear out the vision with the sweepers, use the control wards to remove the enemy's wards, and it removes the threat of Baron.
We saw that.
Osna, you went face first into a wall, bro. All of us saw that, dude. Twitch Tack go crazy. With that 12-12, bang even on Gold yet again after the kill onto JJL. And I guess we're back to the vision game.
So we've talked a lot about SFU, a lot about the different pieces of success that SFU has really had, but we've kind of glossed over the fact that this is not the dominating performance that SFU had the last game, and a lot of that is due to UBC's much more precise, reactive decision-making this game as opposed to last game. Yes, they're still making a lot of reactionary plays, but at least they're being proactive after something happens. When you're just on the back foot the whole time, you're not actually really accomplishing anything. However, with that being said, you're having some solid efforts by UBC to actually say, you know what, your summoner spells are down, your ultimate abilities are down, now is our time to strike, now is our time to fight, and as a result, that's why they've been able to seesaw this back and forth with this gold lead as much as they have.
With no objectives up, and again, like we talked about earlier, no hard engage other than 22 here on the side of UBC. You can just see UBC continually hanging on the top side of the map. We're like a broken record. They're just clearing out the vision because they know that Simon Fraser University needs to at least hang around this top side of the map to respect the fact that they can burn down Baron. Baron empowered minions leads to shoving lanes and all that good stuff. And so UBC is fine playing this vision game, taking their time.
And SFU is perfectly okay with that as well because they love the slow cautious. They love being able to bait out that. But as we say that, we do see a little bit of aggression potentially taking off. There's the ultimate being popped by the Rengar to potentially make something happen. 22-year, let's mind you, does have the teleport in that bot lane. So while he is having that split push, he still has an ability to be able to join the team in the fight. If a hook lands out of JJL, that could be an opportunity.
Oh, Pneumatic does land the Corrupting Change, and it forces the flash out of Osmo, so that is one defensive spell he's not going to have. But here comes 22-year, able to land the hook, hasn't used depth charge yet. There it is, pops up onto Pneumatic. The rest of the team is coming in. Nice gank, and nice Gragas ultimate, spreading everyone out. Gold Jet in the front line, very low. 22-year doing his best to tank it up. Osmo is able to finally take down the front line. There's 2 kills heading on over, but Demnis popping up. 1, 2, a triple kill heading on over to Jace. Flash forward by KT Smurf. He's able to pick up that kill. Proof of payment still has the GA. It does get popped, and it will be enough. Oh, JJL missing that one. Goes in though, but the Vorpal spikes will be enough. Pneumatic able to pick up the kill. It's a 4 for 4, and all of it carries alive. KT Smurf and Pneumatic live.
But to the advantage of UBC, they have a Sheen proc available onto KT Smurf. He did go for the Frozen Fist this game, so he's still going to be able to take themselves a turret. Advantage definitely going to UBC for this standpoint, but these are the situations that we're talking about could go in the favor of SFU if UBC isn't careful. Do you see the amount of burst potential that Demnis has at his disposal? It's unbelievable.
It didn't even say like 1 kill or 2 kills. It went straight to triple kill because everyone died.
He's blowing members up left and right. 10, 3, and 5 is not a stat line that you can ignore from any standpoint, but all the rather, the 4 for 4 trade, UBC does end up somehow come out ahead by being able to take down that turret, but here we are, the stalemate again.
The stalemate again, 16-16, just 1,000 gold in between them. That's less than 1%. Is it 1%? Nah, like 2% between them right now. And Demnis is a menace to go ahead and watch out for Gold Jet on the bottom side of the map, but will he be able to deal with KT Smurf? I don't know. I don't think so. KT Smurf moving on up. Not too far, though, because he doesn't have vision of the bottom side jungle of SFU, so he's just going to clear that wave, recall. Let's check teleports. 22-year does not have teleport. Gold Jet and Demnis do, so this is something that we have to keep an eye out for. And again, this is a short window, a short timer for SFU to find and engage where 22-year isn't there and use their numbers advantage for a win.
But this is something that UBC has actually been able to be very successful at. It's when they know what teleports they have up, they're going to stick those players in that opposite lane. First, it was 22 year. He's the one split pushing in the bot lane away from the rest of his team. Now, his teleport is down. He needs to be with the crowd. So KT Smurf goes down into the bot lane. He's the one with the teleport. He's the one that's going to join the fray if they need to. And this actually works out in UBC's favor better because of the fast pushing ability that KT Smurf has. He does a lot of damage to turrets with that Sheen proc. And so if the members of SFU aren't able to react accordingly and stop that pressure from KT Smurf, he could potentially snag some objectives for UBC.
Proof of Payment taking a shock blast to the face. Not bad for some payment. We now see, since the Elder Drake is on the map, both teams have at least 2 Drakes in their pocket. Both objectives become important. Oh, dash forward into a death sentence. Austin is still alive, but finally goes down. What a hook out of J-Jill. But here comes the rest of the fight. Yet another hook's going to land. The damage, Demnis goes in, but he does go down. KT Smurf still alive. He's still alive, but down he goes. The support does pick that one up. Goldjet now just left with J-Jill. All the damage on the side of SFU is gone. Proof of Payment is still alive, able to hop onto the support. Down goes J-Jill, and it's a nice hook, but it's the overall damage coming out of KT Smurf to win the fight for UBC.
They knocked down Pneumatic, the one member that we have seen have the best positioning, hands down, about all 4 teams that we have seen today. Gets caught out, gets just enough poke, and is out of position, and KT Smurf is able to knock him down quickly before going down himself. And so with 3 members left alive here for UBC, their eyes are set on the Baron.
What is Goldjet doing? Goldjet wants to go ahead and take a peek, have a little bit of fun here in the Baron pit, allowing Baron to hit Proof of Payment, but now it's hitting him because he's the closest one. Baron's going to target whoever is closest to him. Goldjet so tanky, has been in there for a lot of time. Demnis going to get in. Will this happen? Demnis not able to steal this one. Here comes the teleport from KT Smurf, or is it 22 year? I don't know. It's just one of them. It's KT Smurf, and he's going to clean up Demnis. Demnis does go down. 21-18 is the current score right now. And the Baron heads on over to the side of UBC.
UBC has struggled so much throughout the first part of this series, but finally, as we're starting to get themselves in much more comfortable situations, they're attacking the members of Simon Fraser University in every weak spot that they have. The vital points have been found, the data has been downloaded into the minds of UBC, and they're certainly pulling off the mark now.
The Matrix has been created, and UBC working their way back to reality, heading on over to the Elder Drake right now, going to be started and completed. No contest from SFU.
Everything is clicking in the minds of UBC right now. Stellar effort in the Dragon Pit to stall just long enough to be able to get the KT Smurf and CJ teleport through. Not only were they able to pick those up for all of their members, but quick rotation down into the Dragon Pit secures them that Elder Drake. They're only going to get 2 stacks, but all the while, it's still going to be powerful for them as you've got all members, 4 out of the 5 into the bot side of the map. Baron empowerment, Elder Drake empowerment. There is a very strong British Columbia team sitting here knocking at the doors of the base of Simon Fraser.
That's right, we're not quite done yet is the UBC team motto right now. Because SFU, the new kids on the block that took it this year, are getting taken to the shed right now. It is close, 21-18, but this is the largest gold lead this game. It's a 7,000 gold lead as J-Jill is able to go ahead and land a hook onto Proof of Payment. Proof of Payment's Guardian Angel is back up, so he does have that extra life. But look how tanky 22 year is. Yet another hook going to land on a Proof of Payment. But there's the bigger hook. The anchor lands. You got a small hook. I got a bigger hook. It's going to be your death. And the death sentence is written onto J-Jill. And the rest of UBC are running wild over SFU. Proof of Payment's clan tag living up. And it's the ace heading on over to UBC.
The quadra kill coming out of Ozna, finally flexing his muscles in the final team fight, and just like that, UBC, things finally start to click, just like clockwork. They move to one, they piece to another, the victory comes out, and baby, we're going to Game 3.
Game 3, the final game. I know it's a little bit cheaper version of it, but play some silver scrapes because we've got ourselves a match point here for both teams. 26-18, huge win for UBC over SFU, and we really thought that the fact that they only had one hard engage was going to be the issue, but they were so patient playing around the Baron Pit.
Not only were they patient playing around the Baron Pit in that specific situation, but throughout the entirety of the game, they were making sure that they knew timers on summoner spells, they knew timers on ultimate abilities, and ensured that when they went in for the attack, they were going going to be the ones that were pushing in. They were going to be the ones that were on the offensive. SFU couldn't handle it, and they're going to end up having to be forced to play a Game 3.
Forced to play a Game 3, but you guys at home get the treat of playing a Game 3, viewing the Game 3. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to have the grand finals of the grand finals, the Game 3 between SFU and UBC for the Canadian Invitational Championship. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. That browser.
Separation's only an illusion. When we remove the blocks from these pathways, our capacity to receive this grand message of love is. Now let me play you the symphony of synchronicity. Celebration of those that gift us with the echo of life's luminosity. Lace hands with me, and we can be the field of daffodils for our future to walk through. We're all of one source. We become one in the sea of interconnected peace. Do not weep when the snow melts. Through death we create existence, because at the end of its funeral you'll find a river thriving with life. Through the shadows, be the light that creates life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for the final game of the Canadian Invitational presented by the Collegiate Star League here at the Scotiabank Theatre in Toronto, Ontario. I am still Daniel Degon Gonzalez, and with me is still Bill Jump Carter. Bill, we've made it this far. We were so close, but in the end, it's not going to matter for one of these teams because SFU and UBC both can't be taking home the big check.
It's the final of the finals, my friend. Game 3, all on the line. Everything that has happened before does not matter. It's the best of one, and it's Simon Fraser University and University of British Columbia making sure that all the cards are on the table. Well, at least for this tournament, at least. You know, you do have some other things coming up. But regardless, SFU definitely faltered a little bit in that second game. They weren't the commanding selves that they were in game 1.
No, they weren't.
But it wasn't because they weren't trying to do so. It was because UBC stepped up their game exponentially.
Yes.
And they were able to make sure that every move that they were making was at a disadvantage for SFU, and that definitely credits UBC's ability to pivot and adapt to what the situation that they were facing is at. And now with Game 3 here, big things are kicking.
University of British Columbia did a great job of staying patient and understanding we only have one form of engage, and if it's down, that's it. They're very good at counter-engaging. Let's be patient and play around the top side of the map at the Baron Pit. And they did an amazing job not steering away from any of that. You see it a lot of the time in undisciplined teams. You see it a lot of the time in solo queue. We're like, okay, we're so far ahead. Let's just go fight, fight, fight. UBC was behind, and they knew the only way to get back in it was to force Simon Fraser University into the Baron Pit and get themselves a little bit of an advantage. And now we find ourselves into picks and bans. Shout out to all of those that were here with us. Christelle Gaming, you were here with us the whole time. Thank you so much. And we do have our first couple bans and picks in. Why don't you go ahead and run it down for us?
They're definitely throwing this one off the mark, and they know what strategy they want to employ. It is going to be SFU taking up the blue side this game, with UBC taking out the red. It is going to be the bans going across, and nothing too different apart from the Kassadin and the Kazakhs being taken away. So all across the board, they're making sure the strategies are changed. But with that change in strategy, with that chaining in ban patterns, it's going to be the Karma first picked up by Goldjet, the 1-2 rotation of the Gragas, as well as the Graves being picked up here, and Proof of Payment staying in for the pivotal Game 3.
Yeah, like Kazahana, great job. Good job, buddy. Fist bump, pat on the back. I'll take it from here. Proof of payment showing he's definitely worth the cost of admission. No returns at all. And he's going to be in the game on another damage carry jungler in Graves. Look on the opposite side of the map, though. We do have the Karma getting taken over. Elise, and again, it's going to be the Nautilus in the hands of the top laner, but this time it's not CJ, it's not 22 year, it's going to be Goldjet holding that one down.
It is. They've decided to swap their roles onto this setup, and so I'm interested to see how they're able to perform on the opposite sides between those two champions. I like the Elise pickup. Elise is able to deal with Graves pretty well in the jungle, and they're backing away from the Ivern. They don't want to have to worry or even consider these support tanky junglers. They want to go aggressive. They want to go powerful. They want to be as humanly insane as possible, and that's exactly what they're doing. As the 3-4 pick is coming out here for UBC, hovering over the Ezreal. It is going to be the Ezreal lock-in for Osna, as well as an uncharacteristic Janna pickup here for 7-3-4.
And Ezreal was banned earlier in the series. Now Osna is going to get his hands on that. Pneumatic has the choice to continue to playing Varus, being that dirty one trick. He's 4 for 4, Kappa Pride, but we're going to see if it's going to be more than that. The last pick still an opportunity. I'm not going to go ahead and hold us in suspense for another 38 seconds. So we'll just go ahead and talk around it. Ezreal and Janna. Janna, this is her first appearance in the series as well. Nami was up. Thresh was up. Braum, Bard, the Janna. And usually you pair Janna with a hyper carry, not necessarily an Ezreal.
Safe. That's the name of the game here. You've got the disengage from the Gragas. You've got the disengage from the Janna. You're rocking with the double 80 carry. So they're actually going for a late season 6 kind of composition that we've seen from teams in the previous. You run the double 80 carry, and you try to kind of pull yourself off of that. But look at what you see coming out of the side here for SFU. They're the ones with the poke composition. It's going to be the Jace picked up for Demnus. Another very strong pick. We saw the power that he had for it in the last game. But a Caitlyn now for Pneumatic. He had prime positioning only one time. Believe it or not, one of the most pivotal team fights in all of Game 2 was when he was caught out of position. But by and large, the majority of this process, it has been his positioning that has really turned the tides on these fights. And now with someone with extra range, extra safety, as a Caitlyn, could be an option for them to do something successful.
And that makes a lot of sense because they've turned to the Elise now and the Nautilus being the engagers, with the Cocoon coming out with multiple members possibly getting knocked up with depth charge, and the anchor toss could also be in there as well from Nautilus. Coming from the top lane, you don't need the engage now from the bottom lane. Now we get to see how well Pneumatic is able to move around the map, and it's going to be a Rise in the mid lane coming out for KT Smurf.
So Rise is a champion that we've seen quite relevant in the meta even in 7.8 coming into 7.9. We look at the midseason invitational with
Yes.
Riot. Multiple members have played that Ryze in the mid lane. He's got the wave clear, he's got the late game scaling, and he's got the damage. And this coincides with their composition now because it's let's play safe, let's play back, let's make sure that we can do anything and everything that we need to do to stall the game out so everybody is strong. They've got a scaling AD carry into Ezreal. It's going to take a little bit of a while for him to get really rolling. Same thing goes for the Ryze. And so if they're able to play that enough successfully and to come off across the mark, then they have the opportunity to do something. But with that being said, the lack of engage and the pure 100% commit to the disengage is definitely going to be a very different play style than UBC is used to playing.
Well, I mean, UBC did a solid job last time around being patient, around hanging around the objectives, which was mainly Baron. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do it again. The big difference, though, is that your engage on the side of Simon Fraser University is not in a ultimate, in a 60-second ultimate. It's going to be in Elise and in Nautilus. And that's going to be up a little bit faster. So I think there's an opportunity here for Simon Fraser to catch out UBC when they're in the Baron area.
The pick composition or the pick potential rather, that Elise brings to the table is something that a lot of individuals underestimate. They look at the power, they look at her ability to duel in the early game, and the Cocoon in the team fights and the skirmish situations, but you forget that Elise falls very well into pick compositions. You can chain CC the Caitlyn trap if Caitlyn is up and available. You can follow it up with the Nautilus as well. And so you're right. I think that SFU's much more methodical play style that you've talked about.
I'm right.
You are. Congratulations. I'll give you a high five for that one.
Touch hands, Kappa Pride.
Touch hand. Oh my God. We're in game 3.
We are in game 3, the final game here.
It's been a long day. And that's something that you want to think about with both of these teams.
Right.
It's not best of 5, but
No.
regardless, they've been playing all day. It is 1:41 in Toronto, Ontario right now. These teams have been playing for the last, 6-7 hours?
6-7 hours.
So all of that mental pressure, all of that physical exhaustion that comes with the LAN experience, and just overall playing League of Legends as a whole, is definitely something that both of these teams are going to have to keep in mind on whether or not they're going to be able to just push through and really try to find themselves a piece of success.
Absolutely. So with that, there it is. With that, we have 1:15 before we get into the game. So one more time, let's give a shout out to our sponsors to make this whole event possible. Thank you so much to Azus for providing everything esports to the collegiate scene. Twitch.tv, the largest gaming streaming platform in the world, and Band.us, bringing other gamers together. Unite. Check them out at Band.us. On your Apple and Android device, all of the CSL team. Scotiabank Theater, thank you so much, security guard, and a couple people that are still here covering for us. Cineplex, and the couple of people that are still here in the theater at 1 whatever. Thank you so much. Woo! Yeah, that's right. All right, so before we get into the game, we're going to take our final short break. So when we come back, we're going to have the last game here, game 3 between UBC and SFU. Don't touch the browser. Rap horn.
All right, cut the break. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our final game here
at the Canadian Invitational at the Scotiabank Theatre in Toronto, Ontario. That's Canada for you dirty Americans that don't know what we're talking about. Thank you so much to the city of Toronto for putting this one on. It's been an amazing experience for me. I don't know about you, Bill, but I've loved every single second of it, including this one right now at 1:45. Last call. This is my favorite second that I'm spending it right here. Osna and Jagel kind of going back and forth a little bit. Either way, they're enjoying every second as well. Jagel picking up a couple pieces of gold. But with that, it's 1-1. Simon Fraser, not Fraser, University, picking up the first win, narrowly losing out here in the second game. UBC, the old guard, pushing it to a final game, 1-1.
And it's all cards on the table. The winner of this game takes away the chunk of that $5,000 prize pool, as well as the ability to call themselves not the best of the West, not the best of the East, but my friend, it's going to be the best of Canada.
The best of the North.
The best of the, no, because there is a North.
The northern border. The best of the northern border.
Give them Canada.
The best of the nation.
But for the final time, we're going to run down both of these rosters. It is Simon Fraser taking up the blue side. Gold Jet in the top lane. Frozen Knight in the jungle. Demnus in the mid lane. Pneumatic at 80 carry with JJL at his support.
And CJ, 22 year in the top lane for UBC. Proof of payment, the substitute, 1-0 so far at jungle. KT Smurf, I guess he's, what is he, 3-1? 3-1 in the mid lane on Rise. Osna at 80 carry and 7-3-4 on a support that doesn't poke as much and is still getting a couple of auto attacks off.
Always making sure to abuse that range where you can, and this is going to be such a high-intense, high-pressure game for both of these teams because we've both seen that they're not willing to back down. They're willing to go toe for toe, sword for sword, clash for clash in the Canadian Invitational, and the best part about it is that they both have the capability to win. When we were coming into this, I know you predicted Toronto, I predicted Fraser, but regardless, what we are seeing in the finals is either one of these teams could take it home, and it all comes down to the mental fortitude that they're going to be able to have to ensure that each strategy that they employ is of the utmost level of accuracy.
Thanks, man. You just wanted to reiterate how correct you were. That's okay, though.
I'm
Simon
just
Fraser still in it. Fraser still in it. UOT kind of getting the BOOT by SFU. Right in the BOOTY. There's a lot of spelling as we do see KT Smurf getting in a little bit of trouble here. Demnus trying to punch him back into Frozen Light. Nice flash away, flash cocoon, sidestep. Look at the fancy feet, but here comes the fangs. Will it be enough? No, it's not. Frozen Knight, very low. One auto attack is gonna be it. The first blood heading on over to SFU.
It was an utter commitment by Demnus to try to push him through, but just like that, Frozen Knight is able to pick up that kill. The last auto attack to rule them all. KT Smurf goes down. Both summoner spells are down as well, and just like that, you're seeing Simon Fraser come right out of the gate with a level of aggression that we're used to seeing.
So super stuff early on here, and I really like the flash hammer bash coming out of Demnus to push him closer towards Frozen Knight. It was a great flash away by KT Smurf, but he really had no opportunity after that play was set up. So good stuff coming out of him. And Demnus, although he didn't get the kill, will be getting going.
Now, despite all of this that's happening, is actually 22. Wanting to have something, but he didn't have the mana to be able to pop it off. And an unfortunate situation for us is while we did have that aggression in the mid lane, while you did have that assist going over onto Demnus, both mid laners actually on their first recall decided to go back and buy themselves a tier of the goddess. So it's definitely going to be an opportunity for them to just sit back, farm, but with the lack of summoner spells, that's a big opportunity here for the side of either one of these junglers to come in and try to make something happen with the lack of summoner spells that you have in the mid lane.
I like what Frozen Knight did there, was able to get his mid laner going, put a deficit onto KT Smurf, because you know Proof of Payment is going to farm. Graves normally taken early is a farming jungler. You like to get Graves once he has a couple of items going, does damage, because he doesn't bring CC. He doesn't bring an opportunity for someone else to get the kill. He wants the kill. He wants to put the damage down and help out his lanes by putting a deficit there, not necessarily from giving it over to someone else. So taking advantage of those timings was a very smart thing by Frozen Knight.
And the best part about it is that's what he has to do to stop this early game, because when you look at the composition of University of British Columbia, it revolves around scaling, it revolves around time. And so it's up to Proof of Payment, it's up to 22 Year even to help stall the game out long enough and have that sense of resilience until they're able to stack up those tiers and allow themselves to become more relevant. And so as a result, Frozen Knight has that much more pressure on his shoulders to have to be forced to do that level of aggression. And with the early kill that we've seen, he's definitely done just that. And you can see the repeat visit, both junglers lurking around the mid lane.
That's right. He is the facilitator of fighting, if you will. And he has to make sure the opponent, that the opponent stay down, as we do see Proof of Payment finding a pink ward or a control ward, thanks Riot, into the jungle so far. But we do see a little bit of a Romarino coming out of Goldjet. He's leaving his top lane, moving down to the bottom side of the map, and that's gonna move KT Smurf a little bit closer. Cocoon does land, Goldjet does go in, but there's 734. He's able to go ahead and help out. Frozen Knight now getting caught out. Proof of Payment going to take it. All cash, please. Or maybe not. Yeah.
Oh,
no. Yes, there it is. The end of the line is the end of the line for the Spider. 22 Year getting the barrel roll, not going to land. Explosive cast does hit Goldjet backwards, and Proof of Payment going to get an assist for that one as well. Nice roam down by 22 Year.
A little bit of overzealousness coming out of Frozen Knight, but more importantly, an uncharacteristic level of miscommunication coming out of SFU. Frozen Knight went to commit onto that Cocoon, but instead, with Goldjet going in onto that, Demnus was having to rotate around because Frozen Knight was caught out by Proof of Payment, and so that little piece of communication definitely resulted in an SFU misstep that UBC definitely took advantage of. 2-1, dead even.
And I hate talking about intangibles without fully understanding what's happening in the comms, but that definitely looked like fatigue. If there was any sort of misstep there, you know, we went ahead and made up some imaginary stories before about possible fatigue, but that looked like two players on the same team on a different page, and because of that, UBC find their way back into the game and Proof of Payment back into the driver's seat.
And now is not the opportunity, now is not the moment to have those lapses in communication. This is one of those moments. You've been playing all day, you've been having these difficult series, you've been having these difficult moments in this own series, and you have to dig deep. You have to find that grit. You have to put your feet down in the dirt and be okay with playing in the mud a little bit, because that's how you come out of this game ahead.
Mike Rowett, definitely. Dirty jobs. Dirty jobs. I knew that's exactly what you're thinking. I love it, man.
It's a good show.
It's a great show. It's a great show. Infernal Drake heading on over to Frozen Knight. Although he does get knocked down earlier about 2 minutes ago, he comes back and takes the Infernal Drake, and that's going to scale well with the Caitlyn. Pneumatic on a different kind of AD carry now, more of a damage dealer, less of an engager, will be able to scale nicely with the additional AD bonus.
And taking a look at the bot lane, something that we haven't really paid attention to because it's essentially been a farm fest. That farm fest is flowing in favor of Simon Fraser. Pneumatic has a 79 to 67 gold advantage, or minion advantage over onto Ozna. That's about a 2-wave advantage, which is definitely going to be able to help him in expediting that first item process that Caitlyn definitely needs to crank out in the early game. And this is just delaying even more Ozna's power spikes of stacking up that tier. And so this is where the members of Simon Fraser can kind of use this to their advantage. As we can see, they're recognizing that and trying to put as much damage down onto the spot turret to force some pressure from Proof of Payment.
I'm a dirty Caitlyn one trick, and that trap on the right side of the tower is really tilting me because it's not in the middle of the space between it, so it allows the Ezreal or the Janna to walk around it. I feel like if you just move it over a couple of inches on the rift, you know, like I guess it would be like a foot if we're in the rift, but I guess inches if you're looking at the screen, it's in the perfect place and they're not allowed to rotate around, and it'll continually allow both JJill and Pneumatic to land their long range skills.
Exactly, but they're still able to get the poke off that they want. A little bit of a mistrap, that's all right. They still have the skills to be able to outpoke the enemy team.
I'm just old and I just want to complain. Get off my lawn.
7-3-4, and Ozna are forced to retreat, are forced to go back. And because of the difficulty that they've been having from the CS perspective, look at the really clunky build that you have coming out of Ozna right now. He's got the pickaxe, which is the piece to the Manamune, but he wasn't able to pick up anything else, and so he is just sitting on that mana crystal, isn't able to upgrade that onto the Sheen. But now, flipping it to the other side of the map, you've got a very cheeky little proof of payment here saying, I like this brush, I like this possibility. Ultimate is available. If Goldjet commits onto this,
there it is, the explosive cast backwards. Now 22 year is preventing Goldjet from going anywhere, and that's going to be a very nice play coming out of 22 year. He picks up that kill. Oh no, 22 year picks up that kill.
Recognizing the quick recoil on the Q ability coming out of Graves with the sense of the wall, but now look at what we have, Ozna.
Ozna able to go ahead and fancy feed his way out, had to use both summoner spells, but gets out of the gank attempt on the bottom side of the map. All the while, though, Proof of Payment and 22 year continue to hammer down that tower, and it does look like they're going to get first tower blood, or will they? It's going to be a little bit of a race. Pneumatic's going to be the one to take it down here. Oh no, it does go over to the side of SFU. Goldjet, or to the side of UBC. Goldjet teleported to the top lane to try and stop it, was not able to, thankfully was not punished with his life. The tower was traded on the bottom side of the map by SFU, but unfortunately, the big gold heads on over to UBC.
And you see sort of a rebuttal coming out of Frozen Knight to try to get some pressure on the top side. Yeah, he's got the counter jungling done, but they're not able to push down onto that turret and create any extra map pressure. There's no dragon for them to take. You can see the pings coming out onto the top side of the map, but it's the bottom side of the map that they were focusing as a result. Not able to pick up any objectives, not able to pick up anything extra outside of a couple pieces of farm for Frozen Knight, so they're forced to retreat, they're forced to buy, and they're forced to reset their mental fortitude that we know that they're going to be searching deep for. 200 gold separate these two teams, one tower apiece, and they're definitely playing this much more cautious than what we've seen in the previous two matches.
Yes, the old caution mentalitude. I love those. I definitely lack that right now as we are 3-1 in the game, 12 minutes and 20 seconds into it so far. Again, a very close game, as all of these games have been. 400 gold separating them. Goldjet's pretty far up right now. Nice flash away, but a nice patient play by 22 year to sit in the bush, wait for Goldjet to over push, which he did, and force the summoner spell out, as we do see now Demnis getting in a little bit of trouble, forced to flash over the wall. The red buff wants a little bit of him, gets a couple punches in. So summoner spells being burnt on the side of SFU.
I think that was a little bit of a misstep by 734 because he charged up the tornado, but it actually was in the opposite direction instead of getting the guaranteed knockup to get a little bit of extra damage. But I think it was just a piece. His Proof of Payment is saying, hey, let's have some fun.
Yes, let's have some fun indeed. Frozen Knight able to get away. Jajal protecting his jungler, but the red buff does head on over. But a stun coming down. KT Smurf almost popped off there. A couple of auto attacks there. Ooh, 2 headshots. But none of them are going to hit the head. But Demnis splits the uprights, and it's good. 3 points in both Canadian football and American football.
Field goal comes out for Demnis, and he's able to pick himself up a kill onto Proof of Payment. Proof of Payment with the cheeky play, but it ends up being the accurate combination there from Demnis to be able to pick that up. And that kill is actually huge. Something that, again, we haven't really got to touch upon because of the activity in the top side of the map has been the back and forth trading between both Demnis and KT Smurf, but yet always making sure that their CS advantage is about the same. But now, with the kill into Demnis's pocket, he's able to go back, he's able to get himself some extra goodies. And this is where SFU is really going to have to start pushing themselves to the limit, because this mid-game, they have the power, they have the ability to rotate and to push, but the scaling is on the side of UBC. And so SFU has to make the decision of what are they going to do, when are they going to do it, and how are they going to find a way to execute. Because as of right now, they haven't really gone too much off the mark until this dragon that we're seeing right here 14 minutes in.
I will say, though, that Pneumatic's Caitlyn will scale later on, because there is that power trough, as you like to say, that Caitlyn goes in. After she gets her first couple of items, you get the your first Zeal item, whatever that crit item is going to be, and you get the Infinity Edge, which gives you the crit multiplier, so every auto attack that crits does 35%, 45% more damage, 35% more damage. So there is that little bit of a bump there, but as the game does get later, Pneumatic, we've seen him. He makes smart decisions. He's in the right position most of the time. And so we'll get to see how well he does as his team falls off and the rest of UBC continues to scale.
So while all of this is happening, you did have the double Rift Herald take. Proof of Payment and 22 year were able to pick that one up. So now you've got the Rift Herald buff onto the side of UBC, and a potential option for them to be able to push themselves into a wave if they so choose. And so now again, slowing ourselves down, getting ourselves in a little bit of a much more cautious, a much more methodical standpoint from both of these teams, making sure that, hey, this is the strategy that we want to employ, so we're going to take things slow, we're going to take things careful, and we're going to make sure that we do not overcommit, because we've seen both teams overcommit in games 1 and 2, and the opposite team able and have the capability of turning things around.
I need to see Frozen Knight start making some plays. He's on the Elise, he is the engaged tool. He's got to find a way to make a flank work out for them as we have the Rift Herald summoned. He's going to go head first, blam, headbutt. Rift Herald used headbutt onto the tower. A couple of auto attacks look that tower go down, but the Rift Herald will be taken out. So the tower does not get killed before the Rift Herald, so you know, I guess a small win there for UBC.
So here's the difficulty that UBC faces with their team composition. They aren't able to just hard press onto the turret because they've got limited forms of disengage, and they don't have the ability to team fight as strong as the members of SFU do. And as we say that,
Proof of Payment tried to use collateral damage to get over the wall. It did not work, so he's forced to flash. A little bit more of an engage. 22-year charting, join the party, body slam in. Frozen Knight able to repel out of most of the damage. Great ult coming out of 734 to disengage. And that could have been nearly catastrophic there for UBC. But instead, everyone disengaged.
And that's where their composition plays well. They're able to disengage. They're able to stop SFU from coming in and having that full-on commitment. But they're not able to push the turrets. And so for me, what I want to see is I want to see 22 here in a side lane. He's got that teleport available. Push your side waves out. Try to create some cross-map pressure. Even could do potentially a 1-3-1 with KT Smurf potentially kicking into another lane. He does have a teleport. It's a lot more short-ranged with that ultimate, but he still has the ability to join the fight. Separate your resources. Force a decision by SFU to try to do something different, because it's just not going to work with these 5-man pushes in the mid lane.
I figured it out if we're going to go ahead and explain it to our endemic viewers here. Right here on the side of UBC, you got the Tinder. You got the Tinder team composition, because they're not about engagement. They're trying to get away. You know, they're really about running away. And on the opposite side, you've got Match.com. Match.com is SFU. They definitely are looking to get engage, find ways in, and that's exactly how these teams are playing out right now, as we see a massive shock blast landing onto Proof of Payment. We're going to move on past that analogy. It's done. It's dead, just like the ward is about to get taken out by Frozen Knight.
The fact that you turned dating websites and applications into an analogy for League of Legends definitely lets you know how on point we are with the knowledge of this situation. The first round's on me, but the next round is going to be on SFU as they're pushing into the mid lane. Tower doesn't go down, but the engage is coming out.
That's right. My knowledge not only extends into League of Legends, but actually I don't know any of those things either. Goldjet able to go ahead and disengage. Anchor toss getting him safely away from the wall. 3-2 is the score. 100 gold in between both.
Daniel, I would date you. It's okay. You're fine.
Thanks, baby. Captain Pride. Body slam into Goldjet. Explosive cast hits forward Demnis, and Demnis able to get himself out of trouble. And so UBC trying to engage with their disengaged comp, but Tinder doesn't work with Match.com. Like, it just doesn't happen.
19 minutes into the game, 100 gold separating the two teams. Every engagement that both of these teams have kind of thrown upon hasn't been able to create any sort of beneficial situation for either of them. As we see the stun up, that's a lot of damage onto Ozna.
Ozna able to get himself out. The shield coming out very late. Either way, Janna helping out his AD carry get out of trouble. And that's what Frozen Knight can do, just with one cocoon, turn into spider form, sink the fangs, deal a lot of damage to someone. That's what he needs to do when his team's around.
Yeah, he needs the backup. That's going to be my follow-up statement. Frozen Knight has been on point with the cocoons. Yeah. He's hit the opposing team, but he hasn't been able to have the follow-up from the members that he has been needing as much as what is required. If this team composition is going to be successful, if this team composition is going to create opportune situations to take extra objectives, it revolves around getting those picks. It revolves around taking advantage of a numbers disadvantage from UBC, and that revolves around Frozen Knight getting those cocoons, but having his teammate around to help out.
There's lots of revolutions in that analogy, but I was with you 100%, just like the moon around the earth, big guy. So 3-2 still, 20 minutes in. And we're playing the vision game here. We're playing the vision on the bottom side of the map. Normally we see it around Baron, but since it's still earlier on, the dragon spawning here in about 5 seconds. People taking a lot of damage over a couple of wards. KT Smurf trying to pick up the tower, will take an auto attack for it. Oh, a nice flank coming in by Goldjet. Goldjet not able to find KT Smurf, but did blow KT Smurf's Ghost Summoner spell. Nice flash away by Osna, but takes a shock blast in the back. What does this mean for the side of Simon Fraser? Over the wall goes Frozen Knight. Did burn his flash. I think we thought he had the damage, but it turns out it didn't. And both of these towers are barely alive right now.
We're at almost 21 minutes into the game, and only 2 towers have been taken. Both of those towers, the top lane for UBC and the bot lane for SFU. That has been it. There hasn't anything, but now a little bit of an inverse on the map there. Some ducking and dodging, a little bit of diving. But both of these teams are going to have to disengage, neither one wanting to fight right now.
The alliteration game on point, my man. And so with that, both towers just one auto attack away, and it does look like the mid lane tower battle will be won by Simon Fraser. They'll take that one and rotate themselves down to the Infernal Drake. There is one ward in front of the Infernal Drake for UBC as Osna continually taking another shock blast into the face. Goldjet sitting on top of the reward, but does his job to zone out everyone. 7-3-4, very low. Depth charge gonna be it. That's a kill for Nautilus. Here it goes. KT Smurf able to get away. It's 2 kills heading on over to UBC. The flankerino is going to be real. And it's another kill, a double kill for Demnis. Gragas able to pull one back, but the kill lead now heads on over to the side of Simon Fraser.
And it's going to be an Infernal Drake that pops off the mark for them as well, so they're going to have that much extra damage to be able to help themselves out. That 100 gold difference that we were having separate the 2 teams is now a 2,000 gold lead in the advantage of SFU, and they have done wonders at making sure that even though these are back and forth, even though these are a lot of, you want to go in, no, I want to go in, no, actually we're both not going to go in, they're still making sure to get objectives where they can, and being 3 for 3 on the Dragons is definitely going to help them as this game starts to draw out.
Is this the first time that we've had 2 Infernal Drakes? I think this whole tournament.
Yeah, it has.
The RNG gods looking good upon Simon Fraser. The next one will be another Infernal Drake. And I think one of the big things that I want to touch on with teams that play competitively at a high level is they know how to utilize the Cloud Drake. The Cloud Drake gives you bonus movement speed, zoom around the map when you're outside of combat, and that allows them to position themselves first. A lot of the times when you first start playing, or you're new to playing, or even if you're kind of a veteran, you're used to reacting once you see someone. But the higher level games, you know where people are going to be. You know what's important to them, and so you have to prioritize what's important to them to yourself so that you can spring the trap early on.
And you want to talk about prioritization. You want to talk about the new item spikes that the members of UBC have at their disposal. Both of the tiers are there, but the teleport comes in from Goldjet.
It does go in onto Goldjet. Somehow the spell did not go through. I didn't see anyone that got popped up. Did I miss it?
No, it was a quick pop-up. It was a point-blank situation. But with those pops and with those disengages forced, the minion wave is pushing up, and this is an opportune moment for SFU to start barreling down on the tier 2 turret in the mid lane. The poke coming out from Demnis. No ultimate available on the 22 here, so they're going to have to rely on their wave clear to help defend.
Not a lot of wave clear there. Ezreal and Graves able to hold out for a little bit longer. KT Smurf moving forward, looking for someone to put in the rune prison. Did not find anyone. Will find the control ward, and that will be taken out very slowly here as we have a full team rotation to the bottom tower. Simon Fraser gonna dink that one, dunk that one, and it gets destroyed. Oh, long range dredge line going to land. Proof of payment in a lot of trouble. And that's going to be another kill heading on over. The Realm Warp going down. KT Smurf able to get himself out of trouble. But look at this in the mid lane. Osna is pretty far over. We're going to see a full team rotation coming out of Simon Fraser.
Miraculous execution there by SFU to say, hey, all right, we can't get anything done in the mid lane. Oh, wait, we have a bot lane wave. Let's try to make something happen. They're able to pick up that bot lane objective. They capitalize on proof of payment being a little bit out. And now they're going to be able to get onto Ozma. He's caught between a rock and a hard place.
A rock and a hard place, something sticky, almost landed. Frozen Knight's going to end up picking up the kill.
Yeah, it's much better to just ensure you can get that execution, ensure that you can make sure that the members are going down, they are ensured dead. And so now, a little bit of a difference here slowly but surely, SFU is building up their lead. They've got about a 3,000 gold lead now. We're at 25 minutes here in the game. And item spikes are starting to pop off. I like what Pneumatic is doing. Instead of going for a hardcore split build and just sitting on that Zeal and going for something else, actually decided to finish off that Runaan's Hurricane to be able to ensure that he could, with his team, get damage onto multiple members in those team fights. And so this is a big situation for them to have. They have the item spikes, they've got the power, but is SFU actually going to be able to capitalize?
And this is one of the most interesting gold leads that SFU has gotten so far. It's been increment by increment. They haven't won it over one big team fight. It's been one kill and then back off, take a tower, maybe, and then back off. It is 7-4, so not all the gold lead is from kills, but they've done a solid job of not biting off more than what they can chew. And I guess on the other side for University of British Columbia, they haven't fully tilted and lost a full team fight. They know, okay, you're dead, we're going to leave you alone and go ahead and mitigate our losses without losing everything.
But this is the difficulty that UBC is facing. They've got such a narrow team composition in the fact of they don't really have many ways to pivot, rather. It's we disengage, but then we just disengage. That's essentially what they have. You could technically have something off with the disengage and then a re-engage from the Gragas. And as I say that,
Realm Warp. There's the engage. The Realm Warp comes in. Oh man, KT Smurf somehow gets popped up by the depth charge. Flash over by Goldjet will keep him alive. Ooh, shift forward by Osna. Usually not recommended, but a long dredge line is gonna get Goldjet out of trouble. So there it is. I think that's the engage that we haven't seen earlier because KT Smurf wasn't strong enough to do it, using the Realm Warp to catch people out of position.
but now with their AD carry down, that's a threat in the back line that SFU doesn't have at their disposal to fight. So it's going to be UBC coming down and being able to get themselves a tier 2 turret in the mid lane. You've got a flank from Frozen Knight, but it's not enough. UBC thinking about re-engaging, but instead they're going to go right back. You've got Dragon spawning in about 15 seconds, and that's definitely going to be something that they want. It is a Cloud Drake, so this is something that UBC is going to want to deny because the double stacks that you're going to have from SMU could be an issue.
Well, one of the big things that's happening right now in the top side of the map, there is a big wave pushing into the tower. They don't want to lose any more ground. By losing that tower, it allows the rest of Simon Fraser to push into the top side of the map. And so they'd rather give up a Cloud Drake instead of losing the top side of the map control because of Baron. Baron is so important as we get on later on. The Baron empowered buff allows the minions to go ahead and jump even faster, even stronger. So they want to go ahead and keep the top side of the map safe.
But Dragon number 4 goes into the favor of Simon Fraser University. Double stacks. It's not something you see very often from the RNG gods in your favor, but it is going to be 2 Infernals as well as 2 Cloud Drakes in favor of SFU, and they're definitely going to be using it to their advantage. Now, there is going to be one more Dragon that does pop up. We are getting confirmation that it is going to be an Infernal Drake, so that is the potential for the triple Infernal Drake to kind of... It is confirmed, and it is the beautiful love of RNG that everyone would enjoy having. But that possibility could be very real in about a 6-minute period if SFU is able to consistently keep the game where it's at and then secure that vision control and get the next Dragon themselves.
So neither team kind of busting this one wide open yet, 7-5. There hasn't been that many fights either. I think the teams now, 30 minutes into the game, 2:15 in the morning here on a wonderful Saturday morning, I believe, are starting to feel the pressure. I think they're now like, okay, before we're like,
I
hey,
think
if we
you're
win,
starting to
it's great.
feel the pressure.
Maybe a little bit, you know. It's been a couple of team fights here. Maybe a back rub later, big boy. That would be wonderful. But 7-5, 3,000 gold in between these teams. Still, again, no neutral objectives up other than Baron, so the teams are going to hover around the top side of the map, the top side of the river, and the ward games continue to play. I do believe this plays to the hand of Simon Fraser because they have the poke out of the Jace, and they have the engage out of the Nautilus in the top lane, the Elise in the jungle.
And something that you really have to credit SFU for, and again, Pneumatic, somebody that we keep going back and back to, is even though he's not having the performance on this Caitlyn that's as pivotal as what the Versus have been, is we might have to take a pause here as KT Smurf is forced to burn some abilities as he does catch out Pneumatic, but it's not going to be enough to make something happen. But back to the point, even though it's not as powerful as a showing that what we've seen from his Varus play, he has still been able to consistently farm up 50 CS over the enemy Ezreal, and though it's a 0, 1, and 3 stat line, he's still being able to acquire items to scale himself up to the late game.
A little bit of the ghost there was the Storm Raider Surge, so I got confused as well. I was like, Ghost? What are you popping Ghost there for, Smurf? But no, it was the Storm Raider Surge. He dished out a ton of damage and was able to get the speed boost from that.
So if I'm UBC,
Yes.
I'm stalling and waiting until the Blade of the Rune King gets finished,
Correct.
and as I say that, Ezreal Osnot is actually able to pick that up. And so now, not only do you have fully stacked tiers on the side of KT Smurf and Osna, but you've got an extra ability in that Blade of the Ruin King for the damage from Osna as well. And so here is another opportunity, another piece of a spike where UBC can take themselves an advantage if they can find the right engage, but it has to be their fight. When you look at the composition of UBC, it revolves around picking the fights that they want and that are healthiest for them. Because if not, then they find themselves in difficult situations. They can't force team fights because they don't have the composition to be able to handle any kind of bad situation on the environmental map that they're at.
Back and forth game here of just vision control. Let's put down wards, let's clear them out, let's put ours down. Let's back up, let's get more wards, put them down. Oh, we do have a Realm Warp coming in. Where is it going? To the top side of the map. And KT Smurf tried to make the big play, had 3 of the big hitters there, but what this does is it gives a little bit of a lane into the mid lane, that is. And on the bottom side of the map, Goldjet is still split pushing. 22-year does have teleport. I would have liked to see like maybe a Baron start here to force a teleport out of 22-year, but either way, it's not going to go down.
And I really like this decision by SFU to actually do a hard push onto the bot side of the map. Because they've taken the tier 2, there's now a big opportunity for them to actually be able to continually push themselves up. But now Goldjet, buddy, you're in the wrong side of the map right now.
Oh, nice 3-man. Dreadline going to pop up 3, but Goldjet able to get himself out of dodge into safety. Oh, body slam, flash body slam, and now Nemantic gets put out in the front side, and proof of payment. No receipts allowed. Gets the kill. Demnis goes down as well. That's 2 major kills on over to the side of UBC, and now they take control of the Baron.
This is the second game in a row where things have been flipped down on its edge because Pneumatic has been caught out of position. Granted, it was a beautiful flash body slam by 22 here into the ultimate for his team to finish themselves off, but it was Pneumatic that was too far forward, and that's not only going to cost him the kills, but it's going to cost him the Baron. And again, UBC capitalizing on the missteps of Simon Fraser, and they're coming out ahead now.
And it's the big talker, it's CJ, 22-year, being the man to make the play. That was the guy that we talked to the whole time. It was like, please stop talking, we want to talk to someone else. His shot calling, his leadership, he's the one that pulled the trigger, and that might be the difference in this game.
It's definitely something that you have to consider in the way that the game is resulting. Granted, there's only a 400 gold difference. We have to keep that in mind. 400 gold is near negligible at 33.5 minutes into the game, but all the rather, it still is something that UBC is doing. They have the scaling composition, they have the ability to poke and get members down with their damage, but they have to pick their fights, and that's exactly what they're doing right now.
Trench line into depth charge, and Osna now is the AD carry getting caught out. Pneumatic picks that one up. 7-3-4 goes down as well. It's 3 kills heading on over to Simon Fraser, and we praise them for their patience. We praise them for their decision making, and they throw it all away once they get Baron.
It was way too overzealousness coming out of Osna. He didn't flash over the wall. The Arcane shifted over to the wall thinking they could pick up the kill, but the rest of SFU came them through and pulled across, and now not only do they get the mid lane turret, but they're going to get the beautiful trifecta. The number 5 Drake of the game.
Well, that's not trifecta.
Well, it's a trifecta because it's 3 Infernal Drakes, my friend.
Thank
We're
you.
getting there. It was
All right.
a slow process. It was a slow transition.
What's not a slow transition is KT Smurf trying to close down the damage on the Demnis. Demnis trying to walk this one out. Barely will be able to. But look at all those little dragon symbols underneath the blue side team. Infernal, Infernal, Infernal. Cloud, Cloud. And you know what? They're getting closer and closer to being the top Drake in Toronto.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
That was a good one.
Thank you.
That was a good one.
Thank you.
Okay.
I believe
Hopefully they'll sit on the ledge.
They'll sit on the ledge?
And we'll have some fun Photoshop in the League of Legends scene. But all the while, 35 minutes into this game, and we are getting a complete understanding of how teams are able to take an inch and turn it into a mile, as FSU was able to capitalize on just slight little missteps of UBC and have turned that less than 500 gold back and forth difference that we have seen into now a 2.2 thousand gold lead. We're rounding up as we get later into the stages of the game to 4th, 5th, and sometimes 6-item final builds. And as we get later onto this, these are those opportunities where these little missteps really start to hurt yourself in the mid game.
If you're UBC, shouldn't you be in the lane? You still have Baron empowered minions through KT Smurf and Proof of Payment. Why not use them to siege up as they're doing right now? Goldjet fighting up a little bit more than he can shoot. Redline going to go down. The big man getting popped up, and a nice shock blast dealing damage to Osman as well. He's able to heal up through the Blade of the Rune King.
A lot of damage coming out of Demnis. His ability to just completely demolish any of the efforts through that shock blast. Look at what he was able to do again to Osna. It's a very successful effort by SFU to stop them in their tracks. Now, there was a turret that went down in favor of UBC, so their efforts at going into the bot lane definitely proved off for them, but now they're looking in the wayside. They want to try to get themselves the pick. They don't have that much CC, but they certainly have the damage to be able to pop things off. You've got the Void Staff completed on the KT Smurf now, actually giving the blue buff over to Osna to try to get as many more Mystic shots and that damage. The Blade of the Rune King mixed in with the upgraded Tear of a Goddess onto the Muramana does a lot of damage, and you actually undervalue and underestimate the damage that pulls off. Is now Goldjet.
Goldjet does get caught out, but Defiance coming out of Karma will save his top laner. Pneumatic took a little bit of damage there as well. 22 year looking for someone to explosive cast backwards. Doesn't look like he's going to find anyone. He's going to find a Cocoon, a Shock Blast, and a Spider right into the face. But this does give positional priority right now to UBC. Goldjet moving the wrong way. Very low explosive cast right on point, but it's a huge shield by Goldjet. He's still alive. Proof of Payment trying to pick up a kill. Will not find it. Monsoon coming out of 7-3-4, going to heal up the rest of his team. And yet another disengagement out of both teams, but it does look like KT Smurf looking to blow someone up, and there it is. Jail goes down, put into jail. The Rune Prison going to be enough. Now Osna shifting forward, very low. On the opposite side, Proof of Payment, no returns allowed. Nemantic picks that kill up. Now Goldjet on the front line, still alive. That is one tanky scuba diver with really old armor. He's been alive for quite some time. And a long-range dredge line gonna land on Osna. Osna able to shift backwards. Goldjet forcing himself back. 22 years still alive. Flash away by Osna, but it's not gonna be enough. He goes right into his death. And Demnis still popping off. 6-1-4. He's not done. Cocoon gonna land. Frozen Knight seats the veins. And there it is. KT Smurf. That's one of the major carries. He goes down, and it's just 7-3-4 in 22 years.
Big opportunities for SFU to pull this around. That was well over 2.5 minutes of just constant battling. It started down with the shouting, then it started with the throwing rocks across the yard, then they decided to fight, then they decided to scuffle, and it ends up being SFU to bring themselves to the top. They're able to take themselves down some kills. They're able to pick that turret up into the top side of the map. They're putting pressure onto the top side. Now Goldjet, or Demnis rather, teleporting into the mid lane to help themselves from that turret. They're pushing, they want blood.
They do want blood. Proof of Payment, though, is there to help to go ahead and clear it. Or maybe not. He's very low, and he gets taken down. Nemantic finds it again. It's 22 year now going down as well. SFU tightening the screws, using the powers of the dragon to go ahead and clear this one out. And it does look like they're going for blood. It is only 2 members up. KT Smurf is up in a little bit. He does deal a lot of damage. Goldjet is very low on mana. 1 tower down. Shock Blast does land. Maybe they're going to just try and mosey their way out of the base. Yes, they are. No chase coming out of KT Smurf and Osna, and that is a major lead for SFU.
The deja vu is starting to hit. It started with the first top inhibitor, then it was resulted in 1 Nexus turret, and that's when the back door from SFU is able to pull themselves through. And so here, we're putting ourselves in a situation 32 minutes into the game where UBC cannot have another misstep like that.
No.
They cannot put themselves out of position, because at this stage in the game, once you hit that 40-minute mark, death timers start to become so long that there is no way that you can come back from losing 2 or 3 members on your team. So it's all up to UBC to make much more calculated, much more strategic decisions, because if not, the game, but more importantly, the title is over.
And the cash monies, don't forget about the cash monies, that goes over as well. And a lot of that issue from UBC stemmed from having different priorities. We had a couple people in the jungle, we had a couple people under tower, and they weren't together as one cohesive unit, and you can't disengage everyone if your disengage tool isn't with everyone. As we see KT Smurf getting caught out, uses an early zone against Dredgeline, going to knock him up. He does use Ghost and able to get away, but 22 here is going to die instead. Now Goldjet picking up that kill, all the while Goldjet very low, will be able to live, shift forward's not going to be enough, collateral damage not going to be enough as well. And walking out barely is Simon Fraser. They almost got caught with their hand in the cookie jar.
Forced to disengage because of the raw power that the poke coming out and the consistent repetitive damage. Here comes the ultimate from KT Smurf. Where are we going?
To Elder Dragon, all the while on the opposite side of the river. It's going to be the Baron started up by Simon Fraser. Simon Fraser definitely going to get it. It's just going to be Dragon for Baron.
And look at the nexus that you see right now. That's going to be pings coming out for days as the super minions are cracking down at the base. Yes, you had the trade come off Baron for Elder Drake, but you know what? There are still 5 Drakes in the hands of the members of SFU, so they're perfectly fine with giving themselves up because they want the pushing power. They want to be able to take things down. They push down and very, very quickly take out the middle inhibitor. 2 inhibitors down. It's FSU rocking and rolling.
Literally a hit and run. They take it. They get themselves out. They don't want to overstay. I think this is the right call by UBC. I think the Thunderbirds did the right thing to take that away because, yes, the Baron empowered minions mean they're going to push into the base relatively easy, but imagine what it would be like to fight against a triple Infernal Drake, Elder Drake team out of SFU.
So now is where you're starting to see the exploited difficulty with the team composition that UBC is running. Yes, it's great for the poke. It has perfect wonders in the mid game because you get the scalings and you get the ability to crank off some raw damage, but also be able to take down turrets very quickly. But when you get to the late game and you have to, and you need those moments where engage is necessary, or at least pseudo sense of engage is necessary, they're not able to do this. Goldjet is a monster right now, 2, and 9, as tanky as you can get right now on this Nautilus, and as a result, SFU can do anything and everything that they want when he just makes a decision and decides to go in.
What is UBC to do? There's massive amounts of minions coming in. The final tower goes down. SFU respecting UBC's poke damage, but Osna just gets absolutely chunk flash forward by Smurf onto Pneumatic, and a teleport coming in by 22 here, and they get down Pneumatic yet again getting caught up by another great play from 22 here, and it's going to slow down the pushing power. The AD carry, the auto attacker is down.
But they're going to have to back up because there are super minions knocking away at the base. No matter what happens, no matter what sort of advantage they're able to get, they have to protect their base. They've been fooled once before by SFU at making sure that they're not protecting their base. And so you know every member on the team is like, guys, we got to protect the base because things could get ugly if they're not careful.
Big play coming out of CJ in the top lane. 22 here with the great flank arena with the teleport. Did have to burn flash, and those are very long summoner spells being used by the side of 22 year and UBC. But what's the engage now? How do you go ahead and continue to protect the base and get behind them if those skills are gone?
And that's the decision that UBC is struggling with right now because, yeah, sure, they were able to pick up a cool kill on a Pneumatic. That was awesome. That worked, but it doesn't matter because they have to protect their base. That's the advantage. That's the pressure that you see SFU constantly pushing down onto UBC, saying no matter what you do, you still have to make sure to defend your base. And with 2 open inhibitors like that, they can rinse and repeat this process as much as they want.
16-9 now, a 6,000 gold lead. The base in tatters, but the inhibitor in the top lane did come back up. So 45 minutes in the game, we're having yet another game where UBC's able to stall out a little bit longer, but this time it's not around the Baron pit. Ooh, Dredgeline not going to land. The body slam is actually more of like a shimmy and shake away from it. And now still with Baron empowered minions, it does look like SFU want to continue to bully down the base. Shock Blast landing one after the other. 7-3-4 taking massive amounts of damage.
And this is where things are starting to get difficult for UBC. Because they don't have the composition to engage and force the issue, regardless of the state of the game, they have to find a way to get off and stop these pushes with an open inhibitor. If these two inhibitors go down and you've got triple across the board, that's the nail in the coffin. UBC is done. SFU recognizes that they're pushing in. They're able to take the bottom inhibitor. You still have the top inhibitor that just spawned, but things are looking bleak for UBC.
There is no way in. Smurf went ahead and popped his ghost to get the speed boost, but it didn't really lead to anything. He kind of just walked around, dodged a shock blast, and that was that. Gotta find a way. You have to find an engage tool. 22 year does not have flash. He does not have teleport. KT Smurf does not have flash. Maybe you can get a flash monsoon out of 7-3-4, but even that is looking super bleak.
But that's what makes things even that much more difficult because of the state of the game that we're at. SFU doesn't have to go back. They don't have to recollect any sort of resources or acquire new ones with new items. They're rounding up on full builds, and so they can simply take the bottom inhibitor, now rotate, and the final fight might be occurring.
The final fight might be occurring indeed. They're running out of inhibitors, they're running out of kidneys, and it's only 22 year in the front line, and he's getting chunked down so hard. And no reprieve in sight. They've got to find a pick on the Pneumatic. Pneumatic doing a solid job trying to stay alive this time. 5-3-7 each time he died. It's been a specific pick onto him. 22 year looking for the explosive cask to bounce him forward.
But it's Demnus. Look at what Demnus has been able to do. Consistently hitting those combination shock blasts to ensure that if they do end up with an engage, multiple members of UBC are going to be low. They recognize that. Middle inhibitor has respawned, so there's no inhibitors in the mid lane, but you've got supers that are cranking down onto the way. They're pushing in. This could be a gone inhibitor. UBC has to find a way to stop.
Realm Warp is a little splitted. Unfortunately, 22 years not able to get the explosive cast down. There's the first fight. Zonius does go down by KT Smurf, but he gets absolutely eviscerated by Pneumatic. It's 18-9. There's not a lot of hope left for UBC. It's a triple kill for Pneumatic, and he proves that he can't just play Varus. He's not a dirty one trick. He's able to turn this one around. Ozna, the only one left alive. Here comes the taunts, and Frozen Knight and the rest of his crew are able to go ahead and clean this one up. The tower is not long for this world. Neither is this Nexus. The kill is picked up by Ozna, but that is going to be that, and you have your winners of the Canadian Invitational. The number one team in the West is the number one team in Canada. It's Simon Fraser University.
When all is on the line, when everything is important and every move you make is pivotal to your piece of success, it comes down to each and every member understanding their role, understanding what it takes to have a piece of success. Pneumatic has gotten caught out multiple times, but in the final team fight, he sits in the back, he does his job, the rest of his team follows through, and Simon Fraser takes away the victory.
They do take away the victory, and the big time check for CSL. We're going to go ahead and call it a day here. Congratulations to Simon Fraser University. The clan, the number one team in the West, proves on the northern border of North America, they're number one as well. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Shout out to our sponsors, Azus, Twitch, Band. Thank you so much, Cineplex, for hosting us. Thank you for the city of Toronto for bringing us two Americans over here and having a great time. Twitch chat, we love you. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Players, friends, cameras, producers, Duran, Dan, Teresa, Tanya, thank you everyone for putting us together. I'm Daniel Degon Gonzalez. This is Bill Jump Carter. Follow him at jump_. Follow me at d.gon. We love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you for next edition of the Collegiate Star League.